Hello, everybody, and a very warm welcome on this Sunday afternoon. My name is Jan Gustafsson. I'm a professional content creator, and I am absolutely delighted to be reunited with the legend, the man that will win tournaments wearing Halloween masks, the 8 or 9 or 10 or many time Russian champion, a man who spends 18 hours a day on Twitch and still finds time to crush chess tournaments, lead a full family life, have a healthy circle of friends. Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Svidler is back.
I've missed this, and some of the things Jan said might even be true. Not many though, but I've definitely missed this very slow rolly type of delivery. It's goosebumps time.
Yeah, it's been a while, mainly because, I don't know, I quit on the English show, not fully deliberately, but I'm still trying to become a German influencer, and I'm not sure what you're up to. What are you up to?
Well, I've given up on my dream of becoming a German influencer, so I mainly, as you've described, I mainly spend time on Twitch, and as such, today is no different to any other day, apart from being here with you, which does feel like home, and happy to have an occasion to do this.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Maybe we should cover the occasion. We are covering is a strong word, but we are using the chess.com Speed Chess Championship as, frankly, an excuse to catch up. But we will also have exciting chess running. And today,
in the background to us reminiscing about the good times where we could actually see each other in person.
Yeah, these are challenging times. But we have the match between the French number one, the Frenchman with 3 names, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, aka MVL. He is playing against a young gentleman from India. Some people have described this young gentleman as one of the top 20-25 talents that we have in the chess world. And I think that's probably not an exaggeration. It's Nihal Sarin.
This sounds very modest somehow.
I know him well, so I'm trying to talk him down.
Yeah, exactly. I was also going to ask you if you're going to declare your biases as early as possible here.
No, I think I spent more time around MVL than around Nihal by far. So I do not have a dog in this fight, but they're both world-class blitz players, and that's not an exaggeration. Nihal is a proper, especially online, since he spends the time you're spending doing stuff on Twitch, he spends playing blitz games online. He is proper world-class, even at his young age. I don't know how old he is, like 16, I guess.
Yeah, I've seen his results, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. I don't think I've played much against him. I've become, for my sins in my twilight years, I'm now back to playing kind of serious online blitz again. I haven't done that for like 20 years, and now that we're all home, I've been sort of forced by events to do that again. But I don't believe I played Nihal himself too much. But I have seen him on top of many cross tables in the past half a year, and no surprise. I think this current generation is, apart from just being good at chess, they're also very familiar with the format, very good mechanically, and yeah. Well, I think MVL is in for a proper fight today.
Yeah, I agree. What is there to say about MVL? He's been leading in the candidates whenever that was, like 7-8 years ago in, I think, April 2020. After the first half. Since I don't think his online results have been stellar, but that's sort of understandable because all he probably cares and should care about is actually winning these candidates whenever they should resume. So it must have been a sort of strange year for him, I guess.
Yeah, it's been a strange year for everyone, but in particular, I think for people playing in the candidates. I mean, if we talk about the chess world, of course, there are larger events outside of our world, but for among chess players, I think the 8 people who played those 7 rounds in Yekaterinburg and then were placed in this limbo, they are in the strangest position of all. And of those 8, I think MVL and Jan Nepomniachtchi, who are leading the tournament right now, are probably the most anxious for it to restart, because they are arguably seven games away from the pinnacle of any chess player's career, and nobody knows when that is, which should make for a somewhat weird worldview.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. It's just strange. Like all your efforts should be focused on when that thing resumes, but as you have no idea when that thing resumes, it's also very hard to, come up with any kind of schedule or plan.
Yeah, and I do have sort of. I was in Yekaterinburg as Alexeyenko's second, and we're still very much in touch. But I guess for him it's slightly more relaxing, because for him when the thing restarts, from the position in the tournament that he's in, he just wants to have a good second half. There is no, mathematically, it's very difficult to catch up the 2-point deficit he has from from the leaders. But even for him, it's been kind of weird. I don't think I'm giving away too many trade secrets if I say that. But yeah, for those who feel that the prize is sort of within grasp, it must be supremely strange.
Yeah, we are in agreement. I'm getting some complaints about my sound levels. This has become a bit of a running gag on this program, but I will still try to fix it. Because I have gained a lot of sound expertise. Actually, in these trying times, aren't there a lot of unemployed sound people out there that are usually doing, I don't know, sounds in clubs and stuff? Can we get one of those? He should just sit in my basement and adjust my microphone.
I think, auditioning for people to go and sit in your basement has started early this show, but there's never a bad moment to start looking for volunteers. Yeah, it puts the mixer in a basket.
I've actually been working on this show format. I know you're aware of my Farmageddon ideas, but I have this new format since I've been watching a lot of trash TV, which in German I was calling der Schacheler. In English it would be something like the Chesseler. And it's loosely based on a show, The Bachelor, but it includes 40 women being locked up in my basement, and whoever does well for the week gets, instead of a rose, which you usually get, they would get a key so they can move around a bit more freely.
No comment.
It's a pity. I was looking for some support.
I will definitely donate to your lawyer fund.
That's fantastic. Check out the GoFundMe for the Chancellor. All right. Is this thing starting? What's going on? Probably not, right? Hang on. There's some chat messages.
Yeah, I think your idea has attracted fewer immediate fans that you may have hoped, but we live and learn.
Let's see if we get good feedback. Bear856 is saying, good effort to attract more women to Chession. Couldn't agree more. Paolo A is saying, Jan, are you sure it's politically correct? Let's be clear. This is not about gender roles for me. I'm perfectly fine with this show format being the Chesselerette, where it's 40 guys being locked up in someone's basement, or also I don't know. There's also a format with only men. In German, it's called Prince Charming. I'm not sure if it's popular in other countries as well. So this is not about gender things. It's just about, I don't like that usually at the end of these shows, you have to sit through like 15 people getting a rose and it takes forever. I think if we just hand out one key to the performer of the week and they're allowed to leave their cage, I think it saves a lot of time and it makes the stakes much higher.
I'm not as much of a connoisseur of these types of shows as you are, but I will cautiously agree with some of the things you said without specifying which ones. This should cover me, I think. The impending lawsuits should be harder. I should be harder to pinpoint with the impending lawsuits.
No, obviously you signed contracts before. Anyway, I think we're off to a good start. And of course, we are eagerly awaiting the start.
It's about to actually start. So
of this thing. What are they playing? Like it's 90 minutes of 5+1, then an hour of 3+1, then some bullets, something like that?
Yeah, and then half an hour of bullet. This is the standard format, and they are off with MVL playing the 6d3 with the white pieces. He's been doing this consistently for forever. It's been he's kind of alternating between trying to refute the marshal proper and playing 6d3. Doing both reasonably well, at least against me. I can definitely, what's the word? Attest to his successes with both of those strategies, as evidenced by him beating me like a drum.
I know everything about this stuff. If you also want to know everything there is to know, check out my Chessable course, chessable.com/Jan, which maybe will also be promoted on the Chessler or the Chesslerette. This is still a mainline position where you normally take on f3 followed by c6, or you start with c6. It's surprisingly tricky for black to fully equalize here. But I believe if black is accurate, he can do that. Let's see if Nihal has done or recalls his homework. Takes followed by c6. There we are.
It's somewhat curious that MVL plays what I would assume are his absolute main openings starting from game one, but I think that's perfectly fine. The whole topic of the candidates trying to hide their home prep and not playing the openings they believe are the most critical, I think it's somewhat outdated. I kind of slightly surprised myself saying that during the discussion on air. I can't remember exactly when. And then I thought about it some more and thought, yeah, I don't think this happens anymore. I don't think people really hide anything very much anymore.
Nah, people just play their stuff. Although it's a sign of respect, I guess, for Nihal that MVL is not messing around with whatever openings he's been messing around with. 1d4 or, well, this is how he does it. Rook fc1, that's sort of a strange move, I would argue.
Yeah,
Black wants to go queen e6. Sure. I'm not sure why he would go there, but
so
point is 92 to cover c4.
He covers c4. I guess the knight is headed over towards g3, although black really won't mind playing g6, and then the knight is going to get somewhat stuck. Doesn't really look that life-threatening for black yet, but as you mentioned, definitely a lot of play left in the position.
Generally, the knight would rather go to e3 than g3, like bishop
absolutely,
e2, knight d1, knight e3. It covers c4 and has some more options on the king side, but it didn't.
Yeah, and we have to compliment Nihal for his. Although that's actually not true. Yeah, both players have a bathtub. It's just that Nihal's is slightly more centralized, and now it's destroyed. What are you doing, MVL?
But
also, seriously, what are you doing, MVL? Why is this good? I guess AB d4 is his point, but black can just ignore that. I'm really not a fan of allowing c takes b5, a takes b5, unless you have a tactical reason to do that here. But MVL must have something in mind, because that was clearly not forced. He could have continued playing a waiting game for quite some time yet.
Nah, he's just got a little out prepared now after AB. Black is fine.
I'm not sure what he's
MVL
even planning. Yeah. Rook c3, rook ac1, but that doesn't really, like, d6, d5 is a move you can make at almost any point. If you play d4, as I mentioned, even e takes d4 is probably fine, but black could also just completely ignore it and play, you know, a developing move of some sort, h6 or what have you. But yeah, Nihal goes c takes b5, which is solid, but less ambitious. I'm a bit surprised by this, honestly. Still looks completely fine for black, but I thought a b5 would give you like a semi chance of playing for advantage.
Why break up your bathtub? It's just wrong.
Yeah, and that as well. Yeah, both of them doing it on the same move. Maybe Nihal is kind of paying respects to bathtubs in general by taking c takes b5. He felt that, you know, remaining in the bathtub when MVL has left his was inappropriate.
I had a bath like an hour ago.
Good for you.
Sunday.
Very good understated joke right there.
Wasn't a joke. All true. Knight to c3.
Yeah, those are factual.
He's threatening bishop
actually,
g5.
yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah, you can play queen b3 here, which more or less forces bishop d2, but bishop d2 is not a problematic move for white to make. I don't think it's that great. Yeah, I think I would probably play h6, but then maybe even knight d5, and if the knights get traded, white gets a square on c6 for his rook. I really don't understand why c takes b5 was played. Just feels like white suddenly has ideas, and I really didn't know what they were if the other recapture happens.
Yeah, there are some questions about Nihal. Nihal Sarin is 16 years old. I don't know what his FIDE rating is, probably 2630, somewhere in that neighborhood. But with these talents, it feels a bit unfair nowadays to judge them by their FIDE rating. Because basically everybody lost a year to pick up some FIDE rating, which if you're a 15-year-old 2600 player, odds are your rating is not going down, right? So I feel all these talents, they might be a bit underrated now.
Yeah, I think that's a safe assumption with most of those for sure. Yeah, I've given up trying to figure out how good these kids are. I just assume they're very good and don't assign a numerical value to it.
Nihal's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's well established.
And Maxime, who recently turned 30.
You mean 43, right?
No, usually I make him exactly 10 years older. So in Yanistan, he'd be 40 years old. But if we stick to the truth for once, then he's 30. He's been around. I recall when he was like 16 and he was an up-and-comer. I think he broke. Well, he's always been good, but he broke through at a fairly early age too into like 2700 ranks. Then made another jump, I don't know when that was, maybe around 24 into absolute world class, right? And he's been there since then.
Yeah, if that would imply he's only been, but maybe that's right. Yeah, maybe
he's always been 2700, but I have a feeling because he also studied and stuff that he made another jump in his early 20s. I'm not quite sure when it was.
Yeah, I've realized that he's just such a fixture of the absolute top level chess in my mind that I can't precisely date it. But yeah, I trust you to have done the research.
I haven't actually. I'm trying to rely on memory here, but as you know, memory.
Back to the game for a second. Nihal actually the move c takes b5 and then h6 took him seemingly something like 2 minutes here.
There's a weird thing about Nihal. His approach to playing blitz is he lets his clock run down to 20 seconds, and then he makes another 100 excellent moves in these 20 seconds, which has worked very well for him, but I still don't think it can be ideal from, a time management perspective. But that's how he plays.
Mm-hmm. I'm a bit surprised that, h3 is such a natural move for MVL to make, but I think he could have fought for the C file sort of more aggressively by playing 95 earlier. He's achieved something here, but it's still, if you go 95 straight away, I guess bishop d8 holds things together for now. And then maybe black wants to take on c1 and go rook c8 anyway. Maybe it's not that much. And as I said, playing, in particular in reply to h6, playing h3 just feels so natural. But yeah, currently it seems like white has extended about as far as he could, and it's not clear how to make any progress whatsoever, as evidenced by the shuffling going on. King h2, king h7, rook a2 played. Yeah, Nihal goes queen d7. He probably would like maybe to play queen b7, but allowing queen f5 check is slightly awkward. So I don't know. Queen d7 still looks like a waiting move. I don't think we're threatening to take on d5 more or less ever. Well, definitely not while losing the a6 pawn. Yeah, but the queen goes to d1, queen b7. I guess MVL wants to play queen b3 here. Otherwise, the idea of playing queen d1 is unobvious, non-obvious, rather less than obvious.
There are some questions in the Twitch chat. Questions like, do they read the Twitch chat?
I think I covered
there's
that.
one thing you can always be sure of, is that we read every single word said in the Twitch chat. Peter pretty literally lives on Twitch anyway.
Yeah, I think it's like the briar patch. And MVL is now significantly... hang on, there's rook b3 in the end. I was going to say it's... Oh, also e4.
Oh, trickery.
Trickery, yeah. Rook b3 wasn't bad, but e4 is, I think, the more direct way to make an immediate draw, more or less.
d4 take, yeah.
Welcome to Bunny Hopper. Am I still... I should be still subbed, right?
What's the Briar Patch reference? Is that a reference to Andy Greenwald's TV show? Or is that just a word I'm not familiar with?
It's from Brer Rabbit, which I haven't actually read in English, but I'm aware of some of the names of the chapters.
This looks drawish, although
yeah,
with this time
should
control, stranger things have happened than
yeah,
winning this.
That should be
G7?
reasonably calm. Yeah, king g7, rook f5, king g6. Yeah, why is he doing that? Yeah, just back to d6. No.
f5? Push it. No, king h7. Too much respect.
Yeah, and MVL goes king g4.
E3, king f3.
Yeah, e3, king f3. But yeah, you just... Under normal circumstances, as you mentioned, you kind of never win these rook endgames, but MVL clearly wants to test the youngster. I don't know how successful he expects himself to be here.
Someone's correcting me on literally versus figuratively, which
that's a very nice kind of a horse to.
It's gonna be a long show. I've spent enough time around Lawrence Trent to know everything, literally everything about the difference between literally and figuratively.
Yeah,
but we'll debate it some more.
Is MVL trying to lose this game or something?
I'm not sure if he's trying, but he might.
Yeah, like rook d3, and I think he's going to lose it now. It's kind of bizarre.
Run, Nihal.
Yeah, king g4, king or h, any of those moves actually. Yeah, he's just gone and yeah, g4, g3. You don't even play h1 here. Remarkable. He really did not need to do that.
Whoa. 1-0 for the prodigy. Good job, Mr. Sarin.
Yeah, and the second one starts more or less immediately with the Cambridge Springs on the board.
Is this MVL's new approach to meeting 1d4 by any opening that's not the Grunfeld without having looked at that opening? I think that's it.
Pretty much, yeah. It does feel like he's kind of he's opened the book and torn the pages which are dedicated to the Grunfeld and then started learning everything else.
I'm not sure he started learning it.
Yeah, exactly. And by learning, I mean he like looked through the headings, so now he knows what the Cambridge Springs is. Yeah. We are saying these things slightly in jest, but only slightly.
Not me. Juan Jam is saying, I follow Jan on Twitter, but I usually don't get a clue about what he's saying because he writes in German.
There's this wonderful button called Translate Tweet.
I'm trying to become a German sneaker influencer, so I have to build that audience. But there's a fair amount of English nonsense on there too. People should follow us on Twitter. Follow Paul Borta, who never tweets in Russian. Follow me, GM Jan Gustafsson. I tweet in all the languages. This looks unpleasant for black again, no? I mean, it's sort of solid, but not fun.
I could never, like, I will defer to your judgment here, because I think, I don't know, 20 years ago, I would think this is completely fine for black, because how can you be worse? You have no weaknesses in the two bishops. And then I spent, the next 20 years not really playing these positions, but watching these positions being played by good players. And I realized, yeah, you can definitely be worse in those. Pushing c6.
Isn't the big question, like, slow play, I'm not sure, but if white can go e4, e5, knight e4 is always sort of a big thing, no? Like here?
Yeah, that's the one concrete plan. Or you go, like, you put a knight on d3 and you start some slow things on the queen side.
Yeah, you can do all that, but that's not lethal.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of quote-unquote winning plan does involve pushing the e3 pawn up to e5 and then giving mate on the king side, using that as a kind of a staging. Yeah, staging ground is probably not what I'm looking for here. Yeah, but yeah, the d6 square becomes weak, and the king side, as you can even see in this position, a lot of black's pieces will be kind of stationed around the b and the c file because of how few squares has available. So if something starts on the king side, it's very difficult to include those pieces in the defense.
Knight e4, sort of nitty. Nihal?
Yeah, it is very, very nitty by the young man. I'm slightly surprised. I thought he would go for something more ambitious. But even these positions are surprisingly not always that easy to to equalize.
Okay. He's actually a fairly tight positional player. We think of all these young kids as firebrands, and somewhat rightly, because they are so sharp tactically. But I think at his core, Nihal is just a positional, grinder who just happens to be incredibly good at tactics too.
Fair enough, and yeah, I'm not as well versed with his stylistic preferences here. B6 is interesting. B6 is also an indication that at heart MVL is probably still a Grunfeld player.
Yeah.
He's done his 5 moves of doing nothing, and now he wants to play c5, which I fully understand. I would also be going slightly insane if I had to play this structure with black. Might even be a good plan here for all we know. But does beg the question, why not just play something less passive to begin with?
Yeah, MVL's recent opening choices don't really seem aligned with his style of play. Well, Nihal, once again, doesn't mind the grind, although there's also what Magnus has coined the French school of suffering, like a slightly worse endgame for MVL. It's not a very scary proposition either.
Yeah, it's not that he is incapable of playing positions like this and playing them reasonably well. I just thought it kind of minimizes his strength plural, because I think he is a much scarier dynamic player than he is a grinder. That might be outdated as well, honestly. I've lost enough dry technical games to him to know that that's not necessarily, strictly speaking, true.
All right, Nihal, take the queen, play b3, a5, a4 will come. Draw will eventually happen, and we can all move on to a more exciting game.
Hearthstone?
So what have you been up to? We've talked about this briefly, but I think it was in the chat of your popular Twitch stream at Pilberta. Is Russia in lockdown? What's going on? Are stores open? Are restaurants open? What's happening in St. Petersburg?
In St. Petersburg, nothing much is happening in that respect. I think people are, more or less expected to trust their own judgment, which is not a good idea, honestly. I don't think people in general, and I include the citizens of my lovely city in that array, I should be trusted with their own judgment. But yeah, the government of the city is really not giving any definitive guidelines to follow, let alone hard rules for people to follow. You are expected to wear a mask when you're in public. It's enforced sort of in name only. There are security guards, at the entrances to malls and so on, which tell you to put your mask on, and you can. I don't do that, but I have seen people do it for about exactly the 3 seconds when they are in front of that guard, and then immediately take it off again.
Just to be clear, when you say I don't do that, you mean you're not wearing a mask, period, right?
I'm wearing a mask pretty much everywhere, but it's not very enforced, and MVL has made some progress on the king side somehow.
Pushing all these pawns, yeah. I'm not sure I like it. Creates weaknesses.
Yeah. Also, you still have to solve the issue of somehow not losing the c5 pawn, and very clever not to, like, I think the autopilot move there would be to take on g4 with white. I quite like that Nihal hasn't, because let's say after bishop c6 check, king h2 in this current position, with the open h file, black could try to go rook h7 check and win, but with the h file still closed, that's much less of an issue.
Not happening.
So yeah, this might become quite lively now that in particular now that, let's say, knight f4 bishop c4 has become a thing that black will have to deal with somehow. Which round is this? This is game 2, and they play as many games as they will fit into the 90-minute interval of this time control. Zahedul, the structure of this event is not, the games are not numbered, they are timed. So they've just playing. Just keep playing until they reach the
So
cutoff.
Once you're in a lead, shouldn't you take some long toilet breaks, or what are the rules there?
I don't think that's
a bit like football. You just keep lying on the floor.
Yeah, I think that probably that there are some provisions for that, against that, or I don't think that this has been attempted necessarily. People definitely have played completely drawn position to the exhaustion of all the time available on the clock when they're in the lead. Yeah, that tactic definitely does exist, but I don't think you're allowed to take breaks between games. And I mean, you probably are allowed, but the clock will be stopped. I think that's how it works. I'm sure if somebody requests like a 5-minute break, the break will be given, but yeah, the clock will be stopped as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I like e3, e4 here. I think this is probably what
principled. Yeah, breaking up.
E4, f4, rook dd1, and then knight e3, and the pawn on g4 would become weak. I thought that was critical, but Nihal goes for a more contained move, perhaps planning e4 in the next move.
Yeah, who's better in white? If anybody's better, it has to be white, right?
Yeah, I think it's white. With the light square bishops gone, there is really no danger that I can imagine. The king on g2 being faced with. This is sort of interesting, though. Do we save the piece here? Rook e4. I guess we do. Knight f4 check all of it. Hang on, knight f4 king f5. Has he lost a piece here?
This
may have been slightly.
95 was he?
Yeah, I think he genuinely did not realize the rook was hanging, and now it's 1-1.
Whoa, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, that rook c4 just generally did not feel right to me somehow. I'm sure, like, if you go back now, if rook c1, I'm pretty sure still holds the position together, but it's not easy to go back here.
Wow.
And yeah,
so the next game already starts, so we'll keep this short. But here, king f5, there's just no keeping the material. Takes.
Yeah, you just lose material, and yeah, I guess 95 was some kind of a blank, because I mean, you don't test if MVL will take a full rook. I think he just genuinely did not see it was hanging, and they're still discussing the same 6d3 line, but now MVL takes on a2 with the rook, which is I would guess the slightly more popular in terms of games played line, but
both moves are very, very topical and critical. I think this has been played a little more here, and especially this line here, MVL, for example, played bishop g5, knight g4, bishop d2 against Magnus once, and this is all very, very well known. rook e1 is one of the ways to try to keep the game going. Basically, you stop black from playing d5. He plays queen d7. And now knight d5. This is always a big decision if the knight goes to a7, d4, or b8. If memory serves, you can play knight a7. And this is sort of a long theoretical line still.
This is supposed to be a forced draw, although there have been some attempts to play that. Basically, the game starts around move 25 with white being down a piece. I think we will see it now. Yeah, AB, queen a1, c takes d5, bishop e3.
Also, if memory serves,
he goes dc6.
In my chessable course, I gave queen b7 here. It can be here now. Must be somewhere else as a simpler way. I know. I think it was takes here. Here maybe, yeah.
Anyway. This I wasn't aware of, but
so you can take the piece and then it's a draw, but you have to make like 100 computer moves. Anyway, they played something else.
Yeah, I think MVL actually played this line against Kirill Alexeyenko in one of the GIB tournaments, where Kirill actually had all of this on the screen when preparing for the game, and then made one incorrect move like 7 moves later. Both his and MVL's analysis continued for quite some time yet from here, and then he got a position which is still a draw, but he needed to play accurately. Made one mistake and the game was gone. Yeah. So MVL has pleasant memories of this, I suspect.
No, and in general, this whole complex. Black is okay, but he has to be extremely precise, which is why I think you've dabbled quite a bit in these early knight a5. c5, bishop e6s without castles, and I also gave some lines there. So this complex that Nihal is playing, it's fine, but you have to be very accurate, and MVL can use his experience to ask a few questions here. And now he should be somewhat better. I'm not sure how much it is, but with this passer, it has to be a little something, no?
Yeah, it's an interesting position, because if you look at it naively, white has a protected passer on the a5, which should instantly make him feel very good about life. But the bishop on d2 is kind of passive. The pawn on b4, and particularly if black manages to push d6, d5 somewhere, could become a bit of a target. And I think I've looked at this position at some point. I don't remember my conclusions exactly, but I think it was like even the machines aren't very convinced that black is worse if you play precisely, which is somewhat surprising because, as mentioned, normally a protected outside passer would count for quite a lot.
By the way, is there a single Twitch chat where forget about it is not giving horrible political opinions nonstop? Like every Twitch chat, he's doing that, no? Tell us something else, forget about it. Talk chess or the weather or something. We all know exactly where you stand on the issues.
Yeah. Very painfully aware of it by this point. Anyway, moving swiftly on. I'm not sure I like rook fc8, honestly, because now I think pushing d6, d5 might become a bit trickier. You probably can still go bishop f6 and play d5 next move. I thought you were supposed to do this as early as possible because it restricts the wise choices. Also, d5, if you could, let's say, play d5, bishop f6, put the rook on e8. d5, e4 would definitely become something white would have to watch for consistently.
So if I understand you correctly, if black could make 4 or 5 moves in a row, he'd be doing all right.
Yeah, he'd be absolutely in clover here. That's exactly what the argument I'm making is.
Nihal, I'm sure he would like to make a luft too. And also he still has a minute 25, so he needs to think for a minute so that he's down to the time he's comfortable with.
Yeah, it's the time management really is. As mentioned, I haven't really played him much, and I haven't watched him apart from just seeing his results. I haven't watched him play much blitz, and yeah, the time management is really striking. I haven't seen anyone who is genuinely good at blitz, and I know he is, do this.
King f8, that's a proper weird move, Nihal.
Yeah, that's. I think he's preparing for the endgame. Maybe he is. Maybe planning to go queen a6, and then he wants the king on d7 as early as possible. But I don't know, does look mighty strange.
It's the sort of thing, if there was a computer move, that's the sort of move that gets you banned from tournaments.
Yeah, I don't think this is the first line. I would be mightily surprised if it was.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
and now Queen B7. I know, like Queen D5 is looming. Oof.
I really don't understand the plan. Yeah, Queen D5 right now. I guess Knight takes A5 was a move, but after Rook E1, this is now like a crushing threat, and Nihal is forced to offer these trades. And if it becomes an endgame, then the pawn on A5. Like the more pieces come over, the more the pawn on A5 becomes like a massive problem for Black. Yeah, I think he'll be very happy if he gets away with it in this game. I think he's up against it right now. Queen A2, interesting. Yeah, I guess after Queen A6 we can just take on C8 twice and go A6, A7, which is very scary. Which is why Nihal takes on C2 first. And then he will play either Queen A6 or Rook A8 or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still not easy to make progress for White. The one thing you can
one
say
of these positions where strong players play H4, and I'm always confused by it.
Yeah, you can make pretend rationale for it here, saying that maybe one day it might be useful to have Bishop G5 or Knight G5 ideas. Yeah. But yeah, mainly I think it's just a move that is intended to,
Maxime played H3. There you go. It's old school.
Yeah. Still needs to find a way in somehow. I wasn't entirely sure about this this whole sequence because it looks like we've traded sort of the exact middle amount of pieces we could have traded. Like we could have traded all rooks, or we could have traded no rooks, maybe even. But we traded sort of exactly the amount that made Black's position slightly easier to handle, or at least at first glance. Knight C7, Knight A6, I quite like. I think potentially freeing up the Rook on A8 to do something else apart from just stopping the A5 pawn. Playing Rook C8 here is very scary though, and F5 is also like, this is how you lose games to MVL.
Don't weaken your king.
Yeah, you
Maxime will have some tricks.
Yeah, you give him additional targets to play against, and then your position just suddenly collapses. Queen E6 looks very, very tempting. Bishop B6 also. Yeah, Bishop B6, Queen C6, I think is maybe the default. Okay. So he has a tactical idea here, but I think trading B5 for B4 is hugely in White's favor in positions like this, because it gives you, like you get rid of the weakness on B4, and the pawn on B5 was, it's a worthy thing to trade for it.
I have this drink, not an endorsement because no one gives me money for anything, called This Is Food, but it's empty, so I'm out of food.
Also, it's not food, it's drink, right? So
I don't know, they wouldn't lie on the cover, would they?
It's one of those
this is a shaky construction.
What was the other thing that at some point sponsored like half the streamers on Twitch?
Someone sponsors stuff?
Soylent Green, yeah, Soylent. This is probably one of those type things, yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, it wasn't an endorsement. I just saw it in the supermarket, and I thought, if it's food and I can drink it, why not Knight D8 check? I'm not an expert, but
Knight D8 check that did look pretty good. No? Yeah, that looked promising, but was not spotted. And now the game is very much back on, unless Queen B6 wins on the spot, which it might, honestly.
Discord TF is having some interesting ideas. He's saying I should eat the bottle. I don't think that's how it's meant. I assume this is food means the stuff inside the bottle you could mistake for being drink, but it's actually nutritious. That's how I read it.
Yeah, I think this is what they're intending to mean, but what does it actually mean is a whole other question. And it seems like MVL is going to win.
C7, at this point I would win with white, which is usually a fair test if it's time to resign. And Nihal does resign. What's the score? Is down 2-1?
Yeah, MVL wins 2 in a row, up to 1, and we are. They haven't started at whatever o'clock, so I think they're about half an hour in. I don't have an exact figure.
Keep debating this line, which probably thought he got a good position. MVL thought he won, so they're both happy. Repeating. There's varied plans here. Queen b3. We've seen e4, e5 directly as a theme. A3 followed by b4 as a theme. But Nihal seems to want to stick to the setup, and now he goes.
Yeah, and now actually, yeah, somebody informed him of your opinions in the break, and
it's good. It's good that he has people watching our little show and informing him during the breaks.
Yeah, that is the correct procedure, of course. Yeah. Instantly goes e4, and then more or less instantly goes. I wonder if you're supposed to go knight e8 here, but probably not. Probably you're supposed to kind of. Although I don't really understand how you're supposed to grin and bear that knight on d6. That knight on d6 is going to be a little bit too annoying.
I think it's just bad. Like maybe you have to go knight e8 and sit it out, but then this bishop is sort of.
Yeah, the bishop on d7 then becomes like a horror piece as well. I don't know.
Not a fan of black's position here.
It's a very.
Usually you end up sacrificing some exchange on d6 and try to defend something like that, but it's never much fun.
Yeah. But probably we've said enough about that particular. Oh, maybe that's the plan. Yeah, knight b6 and then knight c8.
Ah, you found a way.
No, but that's a pawn. On the other hand, that is a genuine pawn sacrifice right now. We can just take on b6 twice and say thank you very much.
How do you say thank you very much in Russian? Is it spasiba bolshoi?
Pretty much, yeah. That
what does it bolshoi mean? Literally, is it very much?
It's big, large. So.
Speaking of Russian, have you seen the Queen's Gambit?
I have made arrangements to see the Queen's Gambit, but I haven't started yet.
Oh, okay.
I have it all in front of me, and then I decided to watch Dracula instead.
Dracula?
It felt like a less disturbing, subject.
The Netflix show Dracula?
Yeah. Oh, the Beeb show. Isn't it the Beeb?
Oh no, I watched it on Netflix. It's probably not a Netflix production, but the 2019, whenever it was.
Yeah, the one with the British actors. I think it's the.
Then let's talk about that. Who wants to know about the Queen's Gambit anyway? What did you think about Dracula?
I have not watched it in its entirety. It's as always with the Beeb shows, it's well acted, but hard to say until it's only 3 episodes, so I should be able to finish it reasonably soon, but just not soon enough for this show, unfortunately.
I don't know. I'm worried about you. All this time on Twitch means you seem way behind on TV shows.
Yeah. I have been very, very lax with my watching. Although I did finish a few things which you for some reason decided not to. That's actually not true, because for some reason I've still not watched the final 2 episodes of Raised by Wolves, despite actually enjoying the show. I don't know what's up with that. I should just do it.
Yeah, I still boycott all Wolves content. Not a fan of Wolves.
Are wolves on the? Are they in the doghouse as well, together with dolphins?
Yeah, I've always been afraid of wolves. As a kid, I grew up with a big fear of wolves, and it never quite went away. When I watched The Jungle Book, I'm rooting for Shere Khan against the wolf pack. I never trusted Akela and these people. And I don't know where it comes from. We have a lot of scary German fairy tales, or I don't know if they're German, where wolves are the villain. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, and Twitch chat informs us that Emily in Paris is a masterpiece, which I think is enough evidence that you can never trust Twitch chat on the topic of canned entertainment. It's probably a bit too difficult to find that while also commentating on a chess game. But I can direct you towards some very nice Twitter threads written by actual Parisians on the topic of Americans in Paris, and just how
Just to distract with chess, isn't there some direct wins in the air for white here? B3
Queen takes d4 looks dangerous, but maybe black can survive. Yeah, I guess maybe it's not that bad because you take on e5 in the end. Oh, this might be just winning.
This
yeah,
might be.
Yeah, queen takes b4. I completely blanked on the idea of just trading queens there for some reason. Just didn't see this was possible. Yeah, this looks very bad for black, but maybe not directly losing though.
Yeah.
King f8, king e7 game sort of continues.
It felt like here, okay, we don't, it's blitz games obviously, so we don't have time. It feels like there's some direct win. Not that I saw it, obviously.
I didn't even see b3. I was so, what's the word? Distraught by the suggestion that Emily in Paris is a masterpiece that my brain just completely switched off.
Are you familiar with the term Paris syndrome?
Nope.
It's because Paris often in literature and pop culture is hailed as the pinnacle of beauty, romantic, the place to be basically. And then often people go there. I think it specifically applies to South Koreans, but it could apply to other groups as well. And they find out that Paris is not just pure romance and beauty, and they fall into a Great Depression, which is known as Paris syndrome.
That does make some sense, sure.
I've discussed the topic plenty with Laurent. He doesn't feel it makes as much sense as I did.
And I have now gone down that particular rabbit hole. I'm almost there. Hang on. This is a public service announcement, so yeah, okay, back to chess. How winning is this endgame? Probably isn't really that winning. I think the bishop on e8 surprisingly does a pretty decent job of controlling the b5 weakness and also preventing white from creating more passers on the queen side.
General question, after g5, do you go h5 or hg? I'm always confused about such things.
H5 is much more ambitious, but might also, that pawn might get picked up later. So I think you're supposed to play H5, and then if you end up looking stupid, you're supposed to say, I'm a man of culture. I know this is what is correct.
That's what I would do. I would play H5 to fix the H6 weakness because I'm better. And then after bishop takes H5, I'd be very upset.
Yep. Seems right. But yeah, he has taken, and they've progressed quite some way from here, actually. The live position is. There's been more trades, and now Nihal is trying to kind of round up the pawn on b5, which is going to be difficult. I think there are very decent drawing chances here.
Yeah. That's why you go h5.
That is true.
So what were we talking about? Chat is correcting me. It's not Paris syndrome. It's Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, I've heard of that one too. And I even want to develop a TV show loosely based on the concept of Stockholm syndrome, as I mentioned initially. What else are we debating? I'm being asked if I have Icelandic ancestors. No, Swedish great grand somethings. And people want TV show recommendations, which in the good old days, we could have relied on Peter to have those. But now maybe he can tell you what Twitch streamer is currently the place to be. But TV shows, we can no longer rely on him.
Well, I have said that I do recommend Raised by Wolves, but you've shot that down on...
No. I'm just saying I boycott all Wolves content. I've never watched Dances with Wolves even, but it did sound like a good show. Did you watch The Boys at least?
I did watch The Boys, yeah.
And I don't mean your sons, but the TV show. The Boys.
Yeah, watching My Boys has become very, very difficult. They're just never home. Nihal has made tremendous progress. He seems to be completely winning suddenly. Yeah.
Maxime just resigns.
Yeah, not interested in trying
this
to
pawn
hold
wasn't
this,
even
yeah.
falling, and then these white 2 passes were going to queen. What's the score? Like 2-2?
Yeah, I think it is 2-2, and MVL deviates first, going for 1c4, not playing the Spanish anymore, at least for that one game. Okay, I found it. Excellent. Apologies, I've been semi-tuned out for the past 3 minutes because I've been scrolling. There you go, all of you Emily in Paris lovers. Binge on that. This line, I guess we both know a little bit of something about, which is not surprising in your case and somewhat is surprising in my case. But I think they've bishop b5 has become less popular recently. I think they've been trying to put the bishop on
They've
f6.
tried knight c3, but d4 sort of works. So I don't know. And this is a tough line to make work.
Yeah, castles, bishop c7, I thought more or less effectively
Bishop
closed that line.
c7 or queen b6. There are many ways to play. Knight d2, I'm not familiar with. I'm not sure if this is a deep idea or just, winging it. I suspect the latter, but I could be wrong.
Either of you guys read Name of the Wind? ? Currently enjoying it. Hashtag book 3. Hashtag soon trademark.
Is that a book we're talking about? It's Patrick Rothfuss. No, that's your neck of the woods.
That is very much my neck of the woods, yes. Excellent book, by the way. Yeah, I mean, have read it, would recommend. Kind of envious of you reading it for the first time. Have been playing to go on a rereading expedition, but too many things to read anyway. Since when is 2077 classified as soon? Yeah, that's a fair remark. And yeah, MVL decides not to even castle, which I think is quite understandable, but does potentially run into tactical issues of its own.
92 look very weird, yeah.
Nihal is now definitely planning to play 94 next and trying to perhaps even prevent white from castling altogether. You could play bishop d3 and then snap on e4 with the bishop and castle, but you're just not better at all if you do that. Bishop g4, somewhat surprising because that will allow white to castle, and then obviously white will be a bit happier. But I guess forcing white to play f3 is also not bad at all, because the knight on d2 will look very, very sad without any squares to aim for.
We should maybe mention that bishop f6 might look tempting, but it's probably a horrible move because this bishop is keeping the white position together.
With the pawn still on f2, you would take on f6 here in a heartbeat. But with the pawn on f3, weakening the pawn on e3 doesn't look right. Yeah. Not sure about this opening experiment by MVL. I do like a3 though, a kind of a general useful move, aiming of course to play b4, drive the queen away, perhaps get the b3 square for the knight on d2. Knight d7, yeah, I assume we go maybe even b4, queen c7, f4 could be argued for, to you achieve a number of objectives by doing that. Queen d8 is unexpected. We can still go castles, queen h4, f4 if we wanted to. Yeah, I think if white stabilizes in these structures, of course it looks. I don't know if it looks better necessarily for white. 95 c6 is a plan. 95 c4 is a plan as well, but it looks very playable for white. Yeah, knight c6 definitely is a very kind of topical thing here, as described, trying to drive the bishop away from d4 and then perhaps attack the pawn on e3 with queen b6 or something like that. What do we think here?
I don't have strong opinions. White can't be better with this E3 weakness. I'm not sure if he's worse. There's some direct measures. Queen H4. What do you go F4?
I think we're always happy to play. I think I would definitely consider playing a 4 on my own without even being prompted, because it gives me some, it gives my position direction. I want to go knight f3, knight g5, and give mate. Full disclaimer, I understand it will not happen, but at least it gives me a plan to aim for it, which is good in a blitz game. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe white is not really in any trouble. Queen b6 is a move. Queen b6 followed by d4 is maybe the most kind of direct thing you can try here with black. Not sure what I think about the outcomes. Probably around equal. That wasn't me who played the London, though, was it? That was the Marilyn Monroe. No blame attaches. The chat is
5.
Yeah, the chat is trying to give me. Chat is trying to give me grief for playing the London yesterday. Wasn't me. I will deny all involvement.
Doesn't sound like something you would do. Queen d3, threatening checkmate. Looks like MVL stabilized. No, I'm not sure if he's better now, but at least you could see a scenario where he could potentially.
Yeah, this is now very safe for white. Maybe not better still, but definitely very safe. I think the bishop b5 seemed very, safety oriented. Maybe is the way to describe it. I keep on being surprised by this, although maybe I should stop, because really it's not the first time in this match where Nihal chose something kind of sound positionally, but not very aggressive over something much more ambitious.
I told you, he's a nit at heart.
Yeah. Don't agree with that. Don't be a nit. I've been called a nit so much in the past, I don't know, half a year, that I've grown very allergic to the term.
Is that a bad word? I always use it as a compliment, as you know.
In the context of, the way it's been used to describe me, I take great offense, because I don't think I am one. But
where do people call you nit? In chess or in other games?
No,
or in
other games, yeah, in other games. I disagree with this vehemently. I don't think I am.
I had no idea you were going through this.
Yeah, it's a very traumatic experience.
Had I known, I wouldn't have used that word. I apologize. There's a question. Why is the Chess24 chat always ridiculed? I don't find it that terrible. I think it's usually a combination of the production values and the unawareness of the level of the audience, that the show is typically way too complicated chess-wise, and then also very often ignoring the chess. So when there is chess on it, it's typically done in a manner that no one can follow it. And very often, it also just ignores the action on the board. Combine that with the often shaky production values, and you get a fair amount of things to ridicule. But I could be wrong. That's at least my read on the situation.
I also thought Not That Terrible was one of the most complimentary things I've read about our little production here. So I thought,
Yeah, that is appreciated. But I'm just
thank you very much. Thank you very much for the compliment. Yeah, I saw that comment as well, and I kind of nodded my head to it, and I thought, yeah, we're doing great today. Not terrible.
Getting there.
Yeah.
But I'm really out of liquids.
That doesn't.
Jake Lone's saying I would even call it watchable, but that's one of your boys, right? He's biased. He's one of Peter's moderators, so we can't count his opinion.
He's also a mod in this channel, so I don't know why you call him. So
he's double biased.
Yep. Jake is MVP.
Michai Albu is saying, Jan, you are working for us, the putzers. You misspell putzer, so that's a double putzer level. Don't you forget that. I don't know. You're not a paying customer, Mihai Albu, so I'm not technically working for you, but we are trying to.
Yeah, that's the way to go
understandable.
there. That's the way to go. Yeah, call out the plebs. The plebs need to learn their place. Otherwise, like, why are we even doing this?
It's all a cold-hearted business. Go premium. I'm sure there's some 40% off code or something. And then, most importantly, buy my Chessable course. I'm sure it's on sale. And buy Peter's future Chessable course, which will be on sale in the future.
It will definitely be on sale. I think it probably will come on sale and just stay on sale forever, because the suits at Chessable will very quickly realize just how horrible the product is, and then there's absolutely no way to sell it for the full price.
I think that's general part of the plan. There's more Queen's Gambit talk. I'm not sure if we can wait for Peter to finally make time to watch it, or if I'll give my opinions without spoiling it. Overall, I think it's good. It's obviously very respectful to the chess. They chose real fragments from mainly real games. I recognized quite a few, and I mainly enjoyed the atmosphere of the US chess scene, and whenever it is late
798 wins now,
60s.
by the way. Yeah, let's just point that out, that you can go with 798 and then F5, and that wins. I'm sure MVL is capable of finding it on his own, and then we can go back to Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, he's gonna win. No worries. Maxi Boy does not forgive in such endgames.
Yeah, it's I've had some reviews by people who said that, considering the high level of people consulted for the show,
Bruce Pandolfini was involved.
Yeah, and also one other person, quite.
And
notably.
Kasparov.
Yeah, so yeah, you could. There's definitely some Easter eggs there in terms of like recognizable positions and so on, but it was also. Yeah, and this is coming from somebody who hasn't watched the show yet, but apparently in the very first episode, a move d2, d4 is played onto the board, and then a character, potentially even the main character of the show, says, "This is the Queen's Gambit."
Not technically true. Yeah, you can tell that sometimes there's a bit of a difference, or if you want to nitpick, in the dialogue and the chess content. Obviously, they got good chess examples and so on, but I think people that wrote the chess dialogue, they weren't checked on every single thing. Maybe like the terms they're using is often correct, but sometimes there's not. Yeah, it's not very precise. But overall, I thought, obviously I wasn't around in the US chess scene in the 60s, but I thought it felt authentic, and the atmosphere and so on was pretty well captured. So yeah, I enjoyed that. Other than that, it's frankly, if we take the chess out, fairly typical sports movie tropes with early success, trials and tribulations, setbacks, struggling with personal problems. And then in the end, who knows if there's a triumph or not. I would guess, even though I think it's well done, but I'd actually be curious about your perspective, how the Russians are portrayed, because obviously there are Soviets and it's in the 60s and so on.
There's this fun bit to look forward to for me specifically, the portrayal of the evil empire. I think probably that this whole talk kind of means we have to do one more of these shows, right? We have to find another pretend chess event to cover so that I could watch the Queen's Gambit, and then we can go in detail.
We can also keep covering this one. No, I haven't made plans past tomorrow. And tomorrow, this will be exciting news for many of you, because I know there's been literally twos of requests to bring him back on the show. Tomorrow, Lawrence Trent will join to cover the Magnus against Maxulu match. So you have that to look forward to. But I'm not sure how your schedule looks these days, Peter.
Yeah, d5e5 is extremely weird. Like, what is he doing? At first, I thought he just wants to resign after dc6 and knight e5, but I guess he doesn't actually resign there.
He gives the queen, or what's he up to?
Queen c7 or whatever. Maybe he gives. I think those queen sacrifices are never never working out for black. The king on e8 is
Hard
a
to
little bit
believe,
too weak. Yeah. So I think you play queen c7 and you pretend it's all part of some kind of master plan. But once again, nobody's going to buy that. Like, it's just so weird what MVL is doing in all these openings. It kind of reminds me of what I do in all these openings these days. But like, that's not a very good example to emulate.
No, I think, yeah, it's like you said, he sort of looked at, what's this called? That's the anti-Moscow, and queen c2, rook d1, there's a move knight h5. But after d5, he's clearly out of book. So, yeah, maybe he's done this a bit, Beth Harmon-like that. He's browsed modern chess openings, but he hasn't grasped all the details yet.
Yeah, and somewhat, I don't know if shockingly, honestly, because I think probably Nihal is very... I think it's a good due diligence approach here to take a bit of time to figure out, exactly why is this not just an outright blunder being made by a 2780 player or whatever MVL's rating is right now. But yeah, time management needs to. And the queen sacrifice just comes very quickly. I'm very, very surprised by all of this. I just don't think this works normally. Sometimes you hold with black, but I don't think it's
hard to believe. No, the king is...
Yeah, normally this just falls apart. Also, f4, e5 at some point might start happening, or rook d1, knight d5. There's just so many approaches here for white. Do not understand this at all. And it continues back and forth. Yeah, Nihal won the first one, lost 2 in a row, then won game 4, lost game 5, and is now, if we just look at the position, should be a hot favorite to win game 6 and equalize the 5+1 portion yet again. Very, very back and forth so far.
Yeah, this is odd. And as expected, many people are saying that they are thrilled to have Lawrence back on the program. Yeah, frankly, and I'm not sure if I should disclose this because, of course, this is all following a big strategic master plan by a giant empire. But when the topic was brought up sort of recently that we could be covering this tournament, first of all, I didn't plan past tomorrow, but I thought I haven't talked to Peter for a while. And when did I ask you? Like yesterday? I'm thrilled this worked out, but this hasn't exactly been long-term planning. But I'm just very happy that I can use this to catch up with you, catch up with Lawrence, catch up with the rest of the world, because we're just sitting in our respective quarantine locations doing nothing. So I'm thrilled to be doing this.
Yeah, this is, it will sound highly sarcastic, but there's very few things I would rather be doing on a Sunday evening, honestly. This is very enjoyable.
Yeah. Not even kidding myself. Yeah. A4, A6 on the board.
Yeah, King H2 followed by 4 does look tempting, but King H2, I guess MVL can just play H5 and say, please continue placing things in the way of my counterplay, like F1, knight G4 check, and yeah.
Oops, that'd be a pretty mate.
Maybe it's not as bad as I originally thought, because if you are restricted to playing something like rook d1, knight d5, black definitely has some drawing chances there. You just take on d5, you establish some kind of a large dark square blockade one with the bishop on d6 and hope for the best. And the bishop on e2, the issue with the white position here and why white is not just instantly winning is that horribly restricted bishop on e2, which currently is doing not a lot, frankly.
But once it gets going, it can deliver. A fatal blow somewhere. I don't know where. H5, B3, F7. I'm not sure. Is this the max that white could get? Because now there's some hope potentially, no?
Yeah, I thought there must have been some way to just blow everything completely apart and win. Because yeah, this you can definitely imagine not winning with the white pieces.
Bishop goes to d6.
Yeah, in particular now after b3, if we can take on d5 and not lose any pieces, like queen e4, rook f d8, if we don't actually lose any pieces after that, and white just takes on c4 twice, that's pretty much a draw. That's not even like sometimes a draw. It's pretty much a draw. So yeah, I think MVL might actually get away with one here. And Nihal just takes on c4 instantaneously. Yeah, these positions you just don't lose with black. there's not enough material left.
You think it's that clean cut a draw?
Pretty sure it is, yeah. Rook fd8, bishop f8, you just, I don't think you lose those. I mean, in a blitz game, maybe sometimes, because of the pawn on g5, maybe sometimes you do, but with the normal structure, I'm pretty sure it's just an absolute dead draw. Nobody really even tries very hard there with white because of how pointless it is.
I'm sure Nihal will keep making moves.
Yeah, for sure. But once again, he is giving a minute head start here in a position where Black will not be all that, pushed to make take precise decisions. I won a qualifier for something else, Juan GM. I won a qualifier for the Magnus Tour. I played in a qualifier to play in this event, but was conclusively bodied by my good friend Sasha, who had his birthday yesterday. And
happy birthday to Alexander Grishuk. Turned 37, which means he's been a world-class player for 2 decades now. I still recall 16, 17-year-old Grishuk appearing on the Russian national team. Time goes by.
Yeah, it's been a way, and now in particular, because I think if you go king g1, you might get mated. It's a bit kind of meh to do this on 20 seconds. And if you go rook h4, once a pair of rooks is gone, you can just pack it in here.
Now I would draw this, which means let's go home.
Yeah, just rook e6, rook e6, and yeah, let's just not pretend there's anything here. Yeah. In some cases, you can just remove the black bishop from the board. Like, I think if you remove the pawn from h4, you can I think bishop e7 takes h4 is a genuine drawing plan in this position.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting it's going to happen.
Particular need.
Yeah. Like, just to further explain how little winning chances white actually has here. I made a phone call Bald, which I think counts for something, but he's in Moscow, I'm in St. Petersburg, and I would hope I would get invited to whatever do he is planning for his birthday. I called him and he was out, so they were still, using the not exactly restricted restrictions to have a little night out to celebrate, but not going to fly to Moscow for that, not in the current climate.
What's the score in this little match? I
think it's 3.5, 2.5. If I'm not
MVL
mistaken.
is +1. That feels like it's +1. Yeah.
Yeah, and back to our topic of the day, this specific subline of the 6d3.
Knight d4. I don't like knight d4. Never did. I don't think knight takes d4 is a critical move. If you just ignore that knight and play c4, threatening knight takes d4, I think it's an issue for black.
Okay. And this is, these are slightly annoying because the white bishop is arguably slightly better than the black one because it's
this is a tiny plus, but it's not very much. But c4, I thought was seriously unpleasant. Even this. Nihal. Join team knight a5. Can make your life easier.
Well, or not. Like I've had my issues with that against MVL specifically. It's
don't play it like Peter does, but knight a5 is a good move.
Knight a5 is excellent, but then as early as possible, you should deviate from whatever it is that I did, and Bob's your uncle or some such.
In all seriousness, though, how does this go? You go here.
Knight h4 and it starts, yeah. There's a number of things you can do here. I think I've been playing castles knight f5, knight c6 here, and
what I'm trying to say is that here you should take and play d5, I believe, if memory serves. I think this is just. I'm never sure if memory serves, but there was some very direct way.
Okay.
What was it? That game? I think Mamad Yarov played it once. I can't recall details as usual. It's in my chessable course, but I think that sort of ended the line. So I'm a bit curious why they don't go there more.
Fair enough. And as Brainstorm 18, I think this comment, it's slightly late now because Queen D1, G4 spoiled it a little bit. But if White could wait for, like, if White instead of Queen G4 could play, let's say, Rook A1, which is maybe not even such a stupid move, and Black could go Rook A D8, then the entire D file would be occupied by pieces, which is not something you see every day, honestly. But now that the Queen has abandoned its post on D1, we are now some way away from this absolute dreamy position.
Sometimes it seems like the players don't even care about such stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, it's disgusting. Disgusting.
Yeah.
That was a very, very bad Pavel imitation. I'm very ashamed of myself.
Who are you imitating?
The 2017 Hearthstone World Champion.
Yeah, we just live in very different worlds. It's very hard for me to catch any of these references.
It's just like the word disgusting pronounced with like a thick-ish Russian accent. And I don't know, for some reason it's stuck in my memory. And I've been using it, in particular in its spelled form. I've been using it quite a bit. Disgusting. But that doesn't sound Russian at all, so I'm not doing it right.
So you struggle doing a Russian accent?
I genuinely, I don't think I can do a Russian accent. That's kind of...
I hear actually, because whenever I try to put on an extra thick German accent, I struggle with it. Like, obviously, you can just stop pronouncing the TH even more than I already do. But other than that, it's not that simple.
Yeah, and I just genuinely have problem with accents, which is like my kids can do accents so well, and it's just awe-inspiring to hear them just switch between whatever they want at ease. And I think it's because they actually are, well, one of them chose this as a career, but even the other one studied music for like 5 years before quitting. And I think their ear is just so much better than mine, and I envy them horribly. So such a nice ability to have.
Yeah, imagine about all the comedic possibilities would open up for this program if we could do accents.
Yeah, I think I could get my kids to come on and just, talk unseen.
Speaking of kids coming on, I was participating in this Halloween event yesterday, and I was doing it from my basement. My daughter, sometimes she likes to wander into the basement to say hi when she suspects I'm working down here. And yesterday that wasn't a great idea because I was wearing this. Where's the mask?
Yeah, yours was kind of properly scary.
This exact mask, but you get the idea. And I've never seen her that scared. She's 4 years old, so she might be traumatized for a while now, and I've been feeling horrible ever since. We've had a lot of conversations about it. But yeah, she was so scared. She had gotten her hands on some sweets. She came down to show me, and I'm sitting there wearing some creepy mask like this one. And she dropped her sweets, started yelling and running away. So that was tough. I'm not sure how much damage has been done.
Yeah, but I hope she recovers. That does sound like something a 4-year-old child should not be subjected to unprepared.
No, exactly. Yeah, that was rough. Speaking of rough, is this a rough defense for Nihal? Probably not, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't enjoy it very much against MVL, but it's on the other hand, it's really not clear how White makes any progress. But yeah, you go King E4, then you start threatening some kind of Rook A8, random movements along the back rank, or maybe Rook A5 at some point. And yeah, eventually you'll have to answer some questions with Black here, which is going to be annoying. But probably still fine if you play well.
There's a question if I didn't show her the mask in advance. No, that was actually debated. I didn't, because we were planning not to have her see them at all, because even the masks by themselves, we thought were too scary for her to see. So yeah, that didn't work well, but what can you do?
Yeah, that wasn't actually my choice. People are asking me to describe the thought process that went into naming my character Your Gravedigger. That wasn't. I don't think players were given much of a choice in the matter. That wasn't my choice. I'm sure Dodgy, who I think is ever present, can account for that if he so chooses.
Also, I'm not sure if people are aware of this, because people still think of Mr. Dodgy as this cute, sort of funny, independent guy on Twitter, but he's basically running this entire Play Magnus operation at this point. He's, first of all, gone full corporate, and at this point, I'm never exactly sure about it, but usually when I'm being told what to do, it's by Mr. Dodgy. So I think that I work for Mr. Dodgy now.
You probably are, yeah. I think you probably.
I think we all are.
In his employ, yeah. I'm maybe slightly less so, just by dint of me not liking to work very much. So it's harder to.
No, we're aligned there, but that doesn't stop him from telling me what to do.
Yeah, this game has been drawn. I think we are.
He says, yes, I can confirm I'm Jan's direct superior. See, because hierarchy, this is not a joke, by the way, is very unclear in this group. But currently, the suspicion keeps creeping up on me that I work for Dodgy now. Which I'm not complaining, I'm just pointing out. Don't be fooled by the jokey persona and the name.
The cuddly exterior is
exactly.
Is very, very misleading.
Okay, draw in this game.
Yeah, draw in this game, which means that MVL, I think, is 4-3 up, still +1 up. I'm reasonably sure it's 7 games in. And it's also about an hour and 10 minutes in. So they should get 2 more. I think if they start with the bell not rung, so to speak, they finish the game, even if it runs past the 1:30 mark. So there might be 2 or 3 more after this.
We also have to check. There were some plans, I'm not sure if these will materialize, to talk to Nihal's trainer and my dear friend Srinath Narayanan, who is also a budding YouTube superstar. I'm not sure, because we've discussed tech issues earlier, if we will manage to bring him on the show. But we might try in whenever that break is. What else is going on? Yep is telling me about your kid, Jan. Maybe the theory that kids actually need nightmares and scares for a healthy character development might ease your guilt. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if she needed that one, but I think, of course you never know, I think she'll be okay. We've talked about it. She's had some tough questions like, does Laurent also wear masks when he's playing chess tournament? Which I could actually confirm because she knows Laurent. But yeah, it wasn't planned. Let's put it that way. This is some typical Queen's Gambit accepted stuff. Hashtag the Queen's Gambit. Where white is somewhat better. It looks innocuous, but this is a tricky line actually, where black has to be pretty precise to neutralize the mild but nagging pressure that white has because of his somewhat better placed pieces.
Yeah, I think mainly because the queen on d8 is in the way and you don't entirely know where to put it. If you could play queen somewhere, rook f8, bishop e8, and not get harassed while doing that, you're probably fine. But white probably will have something to say about that. Bishop c6 is obviously very very concrete because you are allowing knight e5. I guess he wants to go bishop d5. Because giving white that trade for the knight for the trade of the knight on f3 for the bishop on c6 would obviously be about the full extent of what white can hope for here.
Bishop a3. Of course, Maxime is so good tactically that he gets away with stuff, and if he manages to play queen e7, I guess the worst is over. The queen found a square.
Yeah, that's a cute little setup. Yeah, bishop a3 followed by queen e7, and clearly not scared of any of the bishop jumps. Well, I mean, yeah, it's actually not difficult to see why. I was going to say bishop c5 looks interesting, but just bishop takes c5 and bishop takes c1 and rook fd8 works, I guess, yeah. Because for a second there, I thought maybe this wasn't so stupid from the white side. If you just have to go rook somewhere and allow queen e7, it's very difficult to see how black will ever be worse at all.
Yeah, this is not so much now. Also, I'm not sure. I'm hazy on the details as usual. A queen e2 typically is not where you want your queen in these lines. Because this bishop on c4, it looks like it's well placed, but it's not actually doing anything. So I think bishop e2 is actually a more typical setup here to make use of that bishop. Maybe on this diagonal later on, put the queen somewhere else. Because now this bishop ends up.
Bishop e2 was, I would feel like I've seen this more than the queen e2 idea. And yeah, now now black just looks like he's more or less completely fine. Although I'm a bit surprised with bishop e4, since f3 followed by e4 is something that white generally wants anyway. So why are we more or less making him make those moves?
Yeah, that feels wrong. Maybe it's still fine, bishop c4 and bishop c5, but you have to be precise.
Yeah, you will end up most likely with, well, he doesn't even take on c4. Very interesting.
He's just trying to soften Nihal up for more trickery.
Or possibly he realized he will not really enjoy that endgame after bishop c4, knight c4, and bishop c5, and something like queen e3 very much. So he chose to keep more pieces on the board. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely make an argument this is not entirely equal anymore, because the knight on f6 is kind of stupid, restricted by the pawns on f3 and e4, and the bishop on c6, as is evidenced by Nihal not taking on c6. You can even keep it on the board for a while because it's not doing very much now.
There's also a question if Mr. Dodgy is going to Hamburg to the office daily on his horse. I wouldn't know. I'm not in the office all that often, partly out of fear that Mr. Dodgy and his horse will show up. But I would assume that he's just ruling from behind the wall, White King style.
I was going to go for some sort of say hello to Mr. Dodgy and the horse he rode in on, but you
also good.
Yeah. This is actually a blunder of a pawn, this 97 move, but probably blunder is a bit harsh because you get, yeah, bishop g7 wins a pawn here, but black gets a lot of dark squared compensation there. Takes queen d4. I guess we just go like king g8 and then bishop c5 check and or queen g5 and something, and we pretend that we have some sort of an attack, although we don't actually have much of an attack. It was definitely possible to do that. It's interesting that Nihal didn't even spend like 3 seconds on this.
Now it still looks roughly equal.
Yeah, this should be okay for black now. And he blundered bishop c1. Whoa. Yeah, that engine bar.
Oh,
I probably would have.
Oh, missed.
I probably would have spotted it anyway, but the engine bar absolutely plunging through the floor there kind of gave me a very quick idea something was amiss. And probably Nihal, but maybe he doesn't actually have a way of dealing with it anyway, because rook takes b6 and bishop c5 next move are a threat of a higher magnitude even. So you have to defend against that and still allow bishop c1 next move, which is remarkable.
There's a good question being brought up by Nizahe. Who is the homelander of Chess 24? Is it CP Coutard? Is it Mr. Dodgy? Is it Jan? Is it Peter? I don't know. I'd love to be a homelander, obviously. I idolize him, like very handsome, powerful, seems to have, you know, a soft core because he clearly cares about family and he's quite, yeah, his feelings get hurt easily. So I don't know. I'd love to be homelander, but I'm not sure if I'm in a position. Mr. Dodgy, I see more as one of the shadowy suits, like, I don't even know what his character is, but Gus from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, that's him, yeah.
That's more Mr. Dodgy in this context. Well,
yeah,
Peter is one of these, you know, these sort of rogue soups where you're not quite sure if he's a if he's a permanent member of the 7, if he wants to get into the 7, if he could potentially be a supervillain, he's sort of floating around. I'm not sure what the analogy would be.
Yeah, I think MVL has been winning on the previous 2 moves with Queen D6 most likely, and he's missed it as well. So, I mean, he's still better because the bishop on B6 is horrible, but I think he was winning by force. Just briefly to return to chess, I think Queen D6 was winning there because the bishop cannot really go anywhere.
I'm still more interested in what the boy's character you would be.
I've been accused of having homelander tendencies recently. I was what's the word? Appropriately outraged by that suggestion, as homelander would be if you suggested that to him in that context, which probably reinforces those suspicions.
Yeah, Nihal has now just lost. He lost the piece, and 2 pawns don't mean anything here with his weak king, so it's pretty much game over. That's
2 up for MVL, yeah, with probably 1 to play.
It's being brought up that you are black noir, but that doesn't make any sense. And Twitch also figured out that, you're a bit too chatty to be black noir.
I think that's fair, yeah. Maybe
Doris Trent is obviously the deep. There's not even a question there.
yeah, that much is clear.
Like both character-wise and optically, like it is just Lawrence Trent, the deep.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, although it has been pointed out that both Black Noir and yours truly have nut allergies, so maybe that's why that came up.
Oh, this line I know. Queen E2, MVL. That's what you do here.
And then they play knight A6 for some reason, apparently.
And
then apparently they play knight A6.
That's a move, yeah.
It came to my attention that you can go Queen A2, knight A6 for some reason. Chess theory is extremely weird in the year 2020, just as everything else is.
Juan GM is wondering, where are these characters from? Are we talking about the popular TV show, The Boys? If you haven't seen it, it's very, very watchable. Not the best thing I've ever seen, and I fully understand that people are sick of superhero content, but this is a very different, some would say more cynical, some would say more optimistic take on superhero-dom.
More optimistic? Who would say that?
Yeah, probably no one.
Like that's not a take I would ever expect to see.
The showrunner, he's arguing that the show is optimistic at its core.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, I'm not sure if there's wide agreement for that.
Yeah, and Terrifying says spoilers. I don't think there's been a single spoiler in there.
No.
Apart from the nut allergy, but until you actually run into that bit, it doesn't spoil anything at all for you.
Also, being aware of the Black Noir storyline is not exactly going to ruin the show for you.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm pretty sure we haven't actually spoiled a single thing about the show.
Alicant Battery is saying, I think Peter would be Starlight. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I should probably start on the whole lose a few pounds regimen. But yeah, why not?
Yeah, as for the position, white is somewhat better because of the 2 bishops, but black is very solid. The position is easy to play, so it's a popular sort of kind.
Yeah, if I could plug my own, if I could plug my own channel for a second there, I had a cute conversation with Gata about this structure. Although the structure was with the white pawn on c4, not on c3. I did mention in the conversation that I like it on c3 more than on c4. But we were discussing this precise material with this very similar structure live on air, and I instantly said slightly better for white but playable for black. And then once I stopped talking, Gata said, yeah, I would rather play black here. I think black is slightly better, but probably around equal. And it was kind of striking just how differently we approached these like somewhat passive but very, very solid positions for black.
What's your channel? You should, in order to plug it, you should name it, I think.
I've been sort of semi-active in the Twitch chat, so I think people who, yeah, there it is, people.
Is it only chess, or can I enjoy some other games being played there?
There's definitely some variety gaming going on.
Beautiful.
Occasionally. I think I've pioneered the format of playing other games while also talking about chess on screen.
Wow. I pioneered the format of talking about other stuff while pretending to cover chess, and you took it the opposite. You're playing Hearthstone and then talk about chess.
Yeah, I think I was probably the first Hearthstone streamer to actually bring the chess diagram onto the Hearthstone board and stream it this way. I genuinely think I might have been the first one.
Wow, that's
so.
And an amazing bit of pioneering.
Nizahir with the burn there. That was very, very hurtful, Nizahir. In the meantime, the quiet position continues being quiet, and not much is happening. For white to make progress, you have to. Queen f5, I'm not entirely sure if I like, but it's probably fine. You kind of have to develop something on the king side, but it's very difficult with the bishop on g7 and the white pieces being where they are.
Azur Mist is saying, if you want a good superhero series, head to Umbrella Academy.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I would still take the boys over it probably, but it's a good recommendation.
But isn't Umbrella Academy just a better Doom Patrol?
Haven't seen Doom Patrol, so can't really.
Nobody has seen Doom Patrol. Sorry, this is just. I'm trying to upset my superior, Mr. Dodgy, who's the one Doom Patrol believer out there.
Yeah, I'm up to like 4K on an A, Jake, so I'm way above your elo right now. I've surpassed your elo.
We've lost the entire audience. Literally no one has any clue what you or I have risen.
I think it's always been heading in that direction, and we've finally gotten there. You know, all the hard work we've put in over the years too. It has. So
whoever was who earlier asked, why is this Chess24 coverage widely ridiculed? I hope you get the idea.
Yeah, this is exactly why, and those people are wrong. This is the best thing ever.
And as for the position, still boring, but white probably somewhat better because of.
Yeah, I think MVL is happy that he created some quote unquote weaknesses on the king side. Still not sure how you ever win any of these positions, but he'll try. And I think he is also kind of happy to just wind down the. Although is he? Because I've more than one person brought up in chat that Nihal is like in the maybe top 5 bullet rated players in the world right now.
Nihal is a pretty good bullet player. My experience playing blitz with Nihal is usually he lets his clock run down to 20 seconds. The position is sort of normal if I make it that far, and then he just crushes. Rook back to e2. Yeah, this is unpleasant against Maxime. Who?
Yeah, I think it's not fun. Like rook h2, rook h1, and then you can't really play rook h8 because g5 will become a huge
h5,
problem.
I guess. G5, maybe there's some direct ways as well. Bishop b3 and take the pawn, but it just looks bad.
So what do you think? Like, an hour of 3+1 follows this, and then there's bullet for half an hour. So half an hour of bullet is, I've watched these things before, but I'm never entirely sure. It's like 10-ish games, 8-ish games.
No, I would guess it's a bit more. Yeah.
10-ish, I suppose.
10-ish.
Yeah. So what do you think a comfortable buffer for MVL would be before that starts? And obviously,
we should mention, I don't know how much bullet MVL plays, but he's no stranger to fast.
Oh, absolutely not. He is good, but I think the agreement of our chat, at least, is that Nihal is the more active of the two in terms of.
That's for sure, but I'm not sure if
bullet.
MVL, if he's weaker in bullet, he just chooses to not play as much. I would.
No, I wouldn't call him weak. I'm just, I think.
No, he's clearly not weak. If he's weaker than Nihal, I'm not sure about.
Yeah, that is unclear. Yeah, Rook H2. I think Nihal is planning to play C5 and go for some active counterplay here, which may or may not backfire. And MVL goes Bishop B3, which is, I'm not entirely sure what. I guess he wants to defend against C5, but C5 will still exist as an option here as well, because Rook D3 check. I don't think a line Rook D3 check is advisable after Rook H2. MVL crushed Grandmaster Feingold once, we're being informed by MedXs. That is crucial information. Yeah. Very crucial information. Probably MVL plan to, Rook E5, I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but it still allows C5, which is kind of a cute little tactic potentially. Although, I don't know.
I should know this, but I don't. The bullet, when we're talking bullet, it's 1+1.
I think it's 1+1, yeah. Which
because that is not really bullet, is it? Like, I mean, it counts as bullet, but MVL is not going to be an underdog in 1+1. 1+0, it's much more of a. You need to have practice and pre-moving skills and so on. But 1+1, I think it's just fast blitz chess for these guys. So I don't think
pretty much, yeah. Yeah. So MVL, after a longish pause, gave up on the idea of attacking and winning the pawn on h6 and traded it for the pawn on for the pawn on g4. And now the king f8, king e7 plan should probably just equalize for black. I don't think black is in any trouble on the board anymore. Which Grandmaster is a favorite in a fist fight? Asks Smith _ I mean, like you can never go too wrong just going for size, right? So somebody like BH. Hang on.
Well, what kind of question is that? You need to give us two names, right? Every Grandmaster is a favorite in a fist fight if you give him the right opponent. Like, so I don't understand the question.
Yeah, that's also fair. In the meantime, Nihal somehow picked up the pawn on g5 and is now significantly better, but 7 seconds as per usual. Geary versus Svidler says Danson. I would hope I'm a favorite in that one. Like if
I'm not sure you'd be the favorite because I can't see you punching.
Actually punching anybody. Yeah, that would be like the important caveat there. But like if I'm not favored in a fight where I have like 50 kilos on my opponent, what am I doing in that conversation? Earring is a liability in a fight. Depending on how low Anish is prepared to go in that imaginary scenario. Rook a7 check was probably winning in, and now he found the next move.
This is just game over, king e3.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna sting for Nihal, losing an endgame, just a healthy pawn up. Yeah, that's gonna sting. +3 for MVL if I count correctly. After the 5-1 portion, and that should be the end of the 5-1 portion. So there should be a small break now. And they come back for an hour of 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think picking Shah in some kind of a melee scenario is not a bad idea. I kind of agree with that. RD Born. Shah does sound like somebody who would acquit himself well in that type of setting. tavern brawl type setting.
Schach looks tough. I'm not sure if he's actually been a lot of tavern brawls, but yeah, he does look pretty strong. What else do we have? There's a question.
I probably participated.
Caruana wouldn't be strong. He's pressing 70 kilograms on the bench, right? Is that a published fact? I don't know. He's wiry for sure, Caruana.
Yeah, he's very lean and mean. I don't know. I mean, the mean part is open to a sentiment open to doubt.
Abi, yeah, I don't think he's that mean. So what do we do? Do we go on a small break? I'm sure we have some exciting clips to play, some exciting stuff to plug. Chessable.com/Jan is the best E4, E5 course out there if you ignore the other E4, E5 courses. And there's also the chess24.com premium membership, which I'm sure, I do know, allows you to challenge me, Magnus Carlsen, in that order, and pretty much everybody else that does banter blitzes. Also gives you access to the video series on Chess24 and all the other good stuff. I hope there'll be some exciting clips, and we will be back covering this exciting event. There might or there might not be a guest when we come back. Thank you so much for watching. See you in a couple of minutes. Bye.
Yeah.
And we are hopefully back with a guest of the show, Srinath Narayanan. I have not been properly briefed for this, Srinath, as you can probably guess. And what exactly is your relationship to Nihal? Are you his sole coach? What is your role?
Yeah, I'm his sole coach since about 2019. I started working with him from 2016 as his. We were having occasional training sessions once in every 3 months or so, and he was also working with Grandmaster Komoro for a few years from 2014 or something.
Mm-hmm.
They met at World Under 10, and since then they were working together. And from 2019, I was just traveling with him everywhere and working as his only coach.
Congratulations to you then, because I think he's made tremendous strides. And what's your? I've not done really any coaching at all in my life, so I wonder, as somebody who does this seriously and professionally, I'm sure this topic comes up a lot. How useful do you think it is to be playing a lot of internet blitz as a way of growth? This particular tournament, I don't really mean, because you're playing against extremely strong opposition, and nobody can object to that. But in general, do you think it's very useful for someone of, let's say, Nihal's age and also his talent to be playing a lot of internet blitz?
Well, Peter, thank you first of all for the praise. And from my experience, I think there was there was a time when there was no internet, and it was, I think, extremely hard for you to find strong players to play blitz against. And at that point, maybe when you're playing against not a very high opposition, the training blitz was maybe not as useful. But from what I've noticed with people like Ali Reza and Nihal, it gave them access to playing people like Hikaru or Vachier from a very. You're able to hear me, right?
Yeah.
You're able to hear. Yeah. So I think it gave them access to playing against people like Hikaru, MVL at a pretty young age when they were just about 2500. I think online blitz, specifically playing against stronger opposition, the best opposition in the world, this really helps a lot. This really helps in them getting better. And I've seen this happen in many of these young players. Sometime around 2018, when they're just starting out, first when they play against the elite opposition, they struggle a bit. Out of 10 games, they win only like 1 or 2 games. Mm-hmm. And then gradually they start winning more games and almost start equalizing. And this gives them the confidence to reflect it in the normal games as well. So in this sense, I found this to be very effective and useful. I think the internet has opened up chances to play against the very best. And this has totally changed training perception of how blitz helps.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that entirely. Specifically with the proviso that you made, that it's not just random blitz; it's blitz against strong players, and it does give you access to the level of the level of opposition you wouldn't normally have. How would you assess Nihal's performance so far today? I'm sure you've been watching.
I think it has been somewhat of an expected thing because. He's playing against an opposition level of opposition that he's not used to playing at this level of intensity. So previously he played in the junior pitches, which was against people between 2650 to 2700, and I think 2750 to 2800 is a completely different level. I remember following the Aronian Ali Reza match last year, which also went in a similar way. Aronian was completely dominating the 5+1 portion because. He was just able to play faster, manage time better in the 5+1. And I think also with Nihal, it's a bit expected that this is the most toughest part. But I think he still has chances. He just needs to get some momentum going. He needs a few wins. And I think with lesser time control, he has better chances because he's really forced to make moves fast, rely on his instinct. And,
yeah, we were discussing specifically his time management quite a bit before you came on, because I thought the level in general, I very much enjoyed the general level of play so far. I think they've played very solid chess, with some notable. I mean, you cannot avoid blunders altogether, but there were really few and far between. But he's been like shockingly slower than MVL in the 5+1 portion.
Yeah, I think it's entirely understandable and relatable. Perhaps you can relate to your own experiences when you were just getting into 2700 and you are playing against opposition about 2700 for the first time in your life. I think it would be the same for me if I played opposition about 100 points higher than what I'm used to. Then either I have to I play faster, I maintain the time, and I get bad positions, or I really try to solve problems, in which case I fall on time. And
yeah, when I said shockingly, I didn't really mean this as a criticism. I meant this as to express my surprise, because I expected from the younger generation, I expect them to be so experienced playing online blitz that they can maintain the tempo they are sort of supposed to maintain without really losing much in a way of quality of moves played. But clearly Nihal was prioritizing playing well over playing quickly in that portion. And I think he did play well, but I also think it probably cost him a little bit in terms of, conversions in the later parts of games. So yeah, and we also felt that the shorter the time control, the more his chances should normally be. So
yes,
as long as he stays in touch before bullet, he should be still in with a shot.
Yeah. I think
how excited do you think he is to play in this?
Oh, he's very excited. It's his. I think it's his first match against someone from the elite, and I think he was pretty excited. He would have ideally liked to have some time between his previous tournaments, because he played 2 tournaments in a row between 23 to 25 October, and then he had to come to this match right away. But that couldn't happen. But he was pretty excited, but also grounded. I think he understood exactly what his chances were. He knew he had some chances, but also perhaps something like 40% or 45%.
That sounds fair. Can you see the position right now? Because we do have the position on the screen.
Yeah, I can see the position.
If he wins this one, it will obviously be a very, very important shot in the arm for him to start feeling better about the whole thing. Because the 5+1 portion, it went very, very close in the beginning, and then he sort of collapsed towards the later part of it, because I think the scores will level after maybe even 6 games, definitely after 4. I think after 6, the difference wasn't very big either. And then he lost a few in a row towards the end. So if he wins the first one, he wins the first one here, he'll be a very happy young man.
Yeah. I think the best time to have a series of losses is maybe just before the break, so you have some time to recoup. And
that's fair.
That way, yeah.
The issue, though, is that it's just so much easier to play this position with black. White needs to do all the running here. What do you think what's the plan for conversion here even is, with this knight on c5 doing such a nice blockading job?
How much time does Nihal have? I don't
7
see
seconds
that.
Currently, yeah, and he's taking on c5, which probably makes it even more difficult now.
It doesn't really give him much chances to. It doesn't give him much chances to make a plan if he has only 7 seconds. So I'm guessing,
they drew this one already. So yeah, that's.
Okay,
I don't think he was ever really completely winning in this one, but he came very close. So well, I mean, you can feel good about that, but he really needs to start winning games at some point.
True. He really needs to start winning games at some point. That's absolutely true.
Something that you can probably answer better than anybody else in this conversation: how much actual theoretical prep goes into preparing for a blitz match like this? Do you think he actually worked on some openings specifically?
I think in such matches the emphasis is more on getting positions where you're fluent and comfortable. In that sense, I think there's a lot of opening preparation in finding the areas where you're more comfortable, or your opponent is less comfortable. as opposed to trying to find some 0.2 or 0.3, which I think is completely irrelevant here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the reason I ask is that they keep on playing this particular 6d3 Spanish, and there it is once again. And I think this is still the MVL Alexeyenko game, actually. I'm pretty sure up to Queen G4, maybe even. This is still the MVL Alexeyenko game. So you have to assume that, if Nihal blitzes all of this out, he must have maybe even additionally checked it in the break. And I wonder I wonder how much of that work has been done even maybe before the match, because it really does feel like both of them are very happy, just very seriously discussing this very specific narrow position in the Spanish.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he must have checked this in the break, but maybe he's missed.
Yeah, Knight of 7. Knight of 7 looks like it either is some kind of a semi bluff, or it might just win the game on the spot. Because I guess the idea is Knight takes e1, Queen e6. And we start threatening all kinds of smothered mate things, which look very, very scary. Sadly for me, I can't remember how that game against Alexeyenko went move by move. I just remember Kirill telling me about that game and saying that he sort of knew how to make a draw, and then they got to a position he knew was equal, but he couldn't remember exactly how. And one mistake just ended the game on the spot. And I'm wondering if the story is about to get repeated again here.
That's something similar between us, yeah?
Possibly,
that would be something similar.
Yeah, although, I was going to say I wasn't Kirill's coach at the time, and then I thought, why am I trying to distance myself from from something I'm actually quite enjoying?
Yeah.
But yeah, this huge pause after Knight takes f7 doesn't really bode very well, because
he's not going to be able to work this out over the board, yeah?
Well, I mean, he is exceptionally talented. I don't know why I'm telling you this. You should know this. So, I mean, it's possible he can. I've been speaking at the same time, but I haven't been able to find the draw after Knight e1, Queen e6. Maybe there is no draw. It's definitely tricky. So far, King f8, Knight e5 appears to be completely lost. There are threats of Knight h6 and also Knight d6. So, yeah, I don't know how Black survives this, honestly, but maybe there is some kind of a miraculous way. I could check the files, but that would be cheating.
It's not cheating when I'm streaming. But yeah, I see a 0.00 bar, so maybe Black has some miraculous defense, but I think it's very unlikely to happen in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think if you spend like a minute and a half going Knight takes e1 and then you continue thinking after Knight e6, after Queen e6, you're probably in a lot of trouble. Yeah, and now King f8, Knight e5, I just don't see how you continue. Queen f7 is more or less unstoppable there.
Right. Yeah.
I guess maybe you can go like Queen e8, Knight d7 takes Rook a1, but that shouldn't be a draw.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a draw.
That normally isn't a draw, but yeah, we'll see, because I think they're headed towards that position actually. So we'll.
Yeah, I think Nihal probably has to change his opening in the next game, because he's just getting pressured and squeezed here. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be working out particularly well. Yeah, I guess White is maybe even winning if he goes like g3, gives up the knight, the bishop on d2, and then starts giving checks. But there might be a cleaner solution as well. King f1 might be winning, for instance. Just simply King f1, King e2. Could very easily just be winning on the spot. So, and MVL also has 2 extra minutes to work things out here. Yeah, very kind of going for something which I assume you prepared in the break, and then running into more detailed preparation must feel very, very unpleasant.
True.
But another thing I wouldn't know, and you should know quite well, is how well does Nihal, in your experience, deal with setbacks?
I think he deals it in a normal way. In a match like this, he just has no time to recover. Like the game start rematch, the rematch happens instantly. Yeah, there's not even a second to recover, and I think that's not an ideal situation for anyone to recover. I think almost everyone goes on tilt in a situation like that.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, as somebody who has recently reacquainted himself with going on tilt quite well. I wonder at what point it does start affect somebody of his age, because I think you probably are slightly more stable at that age than let's say I am right now, but I'm not entirely sure.
It's also arguable, because when you get older, you're through more bad experiences, so it doesn't hit you like it's something new. I think somewhere in the middle age is probably the best to recover or take defeats or setbacks. When you have enough experience that it's not the end of the world, but you also have enough energy to bounce back.
Yeah, that is true. And another thing that once again, when we talk about tilt, like my years of not reading a single poker book come back to me, and I start thinking about practices that help you deal with those things, and meditation, and working on the mental aspect of the game. And I wonder if that is very widespread in let's say the Indian chess circles, because I have seen some threads, I think, on Twitter when people there was a conversation about meditation, and I think Surya recommended some apps he was using, if I'm not mistaken. So there's definitely more awareness right now of that being maybe a useful tool for people who are doing the kind of work that we do. But I don't know if Nihal is at all interested in that.
No, I think it's not widespread among the kids.
Yeah, I think at 16 it's very difficult to convince yourself that you have to just sit and think about nothing for 40 seconds or 40 minutes or whatever the number might be.
Right. Yeah. So I should get back to my stream now. The people
sure.
have been.
It was very nice to have you on, and thanks for some perspective on how you view Nihal's progress. And
thanks a lot for having me on. Yeah, it's wonderful that my stream also got to hear your thoughts, and thank you so much. Yeah.
I think we probably are going on a bit of a break right now to get Jan back. So bear with us; it's not going to be a long one, and then the old setup will get reinstalled. And to answer the question, who is drawing the arrows on the screen? Nobody is drawing any arrows on the screen. You are sadly mistaken.
And welcome back again. Good to hear from Srinath there. You should, of course, also follow his budding YouTube empire, where I'm being told it's chess heavy, but there is a fair amount of Among Us being played as well. So, yeah, he's wise beyond his years, isn't he, that Mr. Srinath?
He did seem very wise and very well adjusted. And when you think about somebody coaching Nihal, you would expect it to be somebody sort of more venerable, but they seem a good fit. And he clearly likes the work. And why wouldn't you? Because Nihal is a very, very good prospect. Why is the pawn on g7 being given up here? I guess you have knight c5 counterplay or something.
Maxime is just bluffing. He's feeling himself. Score is in his favor. Thinking, you know what? Take my pawn. I'll counter.
Maybe there is some counterplay. And the score is +4 now in Maxime's favor. So he is running away with it a little bit. He's had a bit of a shaky start to the 3-1 portion. I think he definitely should count himself at least slightly lucky not to lose the black game. But then he won the white game very, very convincingly just by basically being the one who could remember his notes.
Also mentioned Nihal keeps playing that line, which is really not the only way to meet the 63, and he doesn't seem to be into details, which, is not ideal.
Yeah, and Ominous says, I'm sorry I can't tell from the stream who is hosting this event. This is chess.com's Speed Chess Championship, as we have mentioned. Definitely once, probably even more than once. That probably answers your question.
I'm confused now. Knight to c4 has been played. Nihal takes it, and knight a5, bishop d5. It's actually far from over.
Yeah, he does get some counterplay. If some kind of f3-4 play doesn't happen very quickly, you are, maybe even the immediate e4. But it does feel like a very decent marshal. I keep on referring to this endgames as marshals. It's just a draw, right? The bishops are a little bit too strong.
All these endgames where you have two bishops against a bishop and a knight pawn down with an open board and a somewhat sound structure tend to be very drawish, as the marshal has taught us. Bishop d5 offering, obviously, the opposite color bishops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you normally don't lose these positions with the black pieces. It's very difficult for white to make progress while also having to constantly sidestep the trade of the dark square bishop for the knight. Yeah, and the question about ads, Azermist has been on top of that, but Twitch has been sort of aggressively making sure that people view the ads. It's not they run automatically. I don't think streamers have really any choice in the matter anymore. So I understand that.
There's no setting yet to show people this and that many ads. It's just whenever Twitch.
You can try and fiddle with it, but in general, Twitch is just a lot more convinced they need to be playing ads to people. So like ad blockers have recently stopped performing any function whatsoever, and so and also, as I've seen more than one thread on Twitter today saying that it actually makes a very big difference for the smaller to medium-sized streamers. So if you don't like seeing ads, just subscribe or actually buy for Twitch Turbo, which is something that I didn't know existed, but apparently also helps with the issue. But yeah, definitely, the old simple way of having an ad block on no longer really provides a safe haven necessarily.
It's 2 points now, but
it's 2 points. I'm very surprised with how quickly MVL played a5 there. I don't think it was, strictly speaking, necessary to give white all the a pawns in the world. He probably still holds, but yeah, I wasn't sure about that decision. Yeah, maybe a5, but even bishop takes a3. Are we sure we lose after bishop a3, knight e5, bishop g6? We probably do, yeah. Yeah, nobody does that.
The knight got very jumpy now. Even knight h7, what's your trick? f4 works. Yeah,
f4, yeah. Dodgy says we got trapped in a 20-minute ad for the boys earlier. That is...
okay, that's
exactly what happened, and I only wish the makers of the boys were aware of all the stellar work we do pushing their show on an unsuspecting audience.
Dodgy is just upset that Doom Patrol is not getting any more love on this show or anywhere else, really. Have you seen Doom Patrol?
No. I've heard you bashing Doom Patrol sort of enough to.
Bashing is strong, because there was a time way before Mr. Dodgy became our superior where I thought, he's quirky, feels very strongly about the show Doom Patrol. Let's give it a chance. And it's not even terrible. It's just that there's only so much time you can fill with origin stories of superheroes that you've never heard of, that ironically say, hey, we're not your typical superhero show. But in the end, of course we are. We are about putting together a team of misfits who then go on an exciting adventure. So watch it if you have the time. That game ended in a draw, as I'm sure you noticed. And we have a new game starting. MVL now plays the critical move queen e2 in this position we've already seen. Bishop f5 by Nihal, move I'm not familiar with, and pawn to d3.
Yeah, there used to be this really weird tabia starting with knight e4, queen d5 that was discussed at great length at some point, right?
Yeah, there's all this funny stuff.
Queen e3.
Queen f4, queen f5, queen e3, and you take or you don't take, and b3, and all kinds of madness. But seems like black has moved away from that.
Yeah, and this structure is somewhat peculiar. You normally have it, of course, with the pawn on d4. I think having it on d3 here might be in white's favor because I think the ideas of knight h4, bishop g6, f4 become slightly more attractive when you don't create a huge weakness on e4 after black eventually plays f5. None of this is forced, of course. MVL is not obliged to go for that particular plan of entombing the bishop on g6 and hoping to prove that it never gets back into the game.
Yeah, never a bad idea to do a bit of entombing. There are more questions about the Queen's Gambit. We've talked about it in some detail earlier. Short version, very watchable. I think a chess player should watch it also just to be part of the conversation, because the conversation has been ongoing for a while. It's good. That's the short verdict. Horsey in the middle.
Horsey in the middle is curious. I wonder if Nihal is actually scared about knight takes c6, because what would be?
Yeah, this move looks
you still go bishop g6. Yeah, why would you burn some time on that decision is unclear to me. There's just no choice really. Yeah, I don't know why knight d4 is so much better than knight h4. Maybe if black continues pushing it by playing bishop c5, you can take on e6. But yeah, Nihal castles long, which I think is understandable. He is trailing by 4 points, I believe, now. So he really does need
8-4.
Yeah, he really does need to start generating some imbalances and hoping that some things go his way. Or I think, he needs a fighting shot on the bullet. And if he's, let's say, -5 after the 3-1 portion, there's probably just not going to be enough games, even if he is a huge favorite in the bullet, which we don't know until the bullet starts. MVL definitely not a fish in the bullet portion either. Dodgy says, the boy is 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, Doom Patrol 96. Just saying.
Out of all the hills he could choose to die on, he chooses Doom Patrol. It's so strange. I'm trying to do the math. How do you get 96% out of 3 reviews? It's very confusing.
Maybe they use some kind of a gradual scale and do they? I don't entirely know how Doom Patrol works, but I'm not Doom Patrol. Sorry, Rotten Tomatoes. Good review just is like 1 point, or how does it? That doesn't work.
They read the text published by the critic, and they try to get the idea if it's a positive or a negative review. And if it's vaguely positive, okay, we've seen this exact story before, and we kind of know what's happening, but it's not horrible. They give it a thumbs up, and that's how they got the 96%.
Fair enough. That does describe the operational procedures of that hugely important public service.
There you go.
Very, very well. Yeah.
Having said all this, follow me on Letterboxd.
Yeah, this is a very sharp position, which I don't know exactly how to assess, but should be very much what Nihal would want out of this game. I like bishop h5. It more or less forces f3, and now we can go bishop d6, rook dg8. It looks like black is maybe even actually faster. Yeah, g4 knight takes g4 probably wins on the spot, which is kind of relevant. And then bishop h2 check, forcing king h1. And I assume there is some kind of mate after king h1. I don't see it yet, but there must be. Knight d2, rook dg8 after knight e4. How do we break through here? I guess he probably wants to just he doesn't want to brute force it. I was expecting some kind of a brute force solution with knight f3, bishop g3, and let's go. But he goes for something slower with bishop b7. And now MVL finally generates one threat of his own. He will play b6 here, right? Yeah. At the very least, this gives white an option to trade one pair of rooks via rook a8 check and rook takes g8, which might not be nothing, somewhat surprisingly.
F4. Now, the resourcefulness of these top 10 players is just so great. Having a good position, not enough to win a game.
Yeah, you do have to put those games away. I think Nihal had more than one game in this match where he would have won it very, very easily against somebody over slightly weaker level. But against MVL, yeah, the MVL is just so slippery that you cannot really, give him any way to come back into the game. D4 I think is a move you make against somebody on 8 seconds. I'm not sure if it was a good move, but it's probably a good move against somebody on 8 seconds.
What a mess. Knight d4, okay, checkmate, but there is queen d4, check.
And now after bishop b3, I guess he wants to go bishop c5
tempting, yeah.
And knight d4, and then there's knight d2 double mate.
Oof,
this is very beautiful, yeah. Hang on, how is white not
mate,
dead here?
Mates.
White is just dead, isn't he? Like knight d2 is a difficult threat to stop because it happens against anything. That doesn't help either, yeah. Okay, this helps. Yeah, this does help. And now c3. MVL, so very
rook
good.
Rook a3 is a good counter.
And now we can just go take c3, yeah. Or even this, I suppose.
This is fine too, yeah.
Knight e2 or knight f3 both win, yeah. Rook h5, rook h3, nicely done. Nicely done by Nihal. And yeah, he wins a very, very sharp, very beautiful conclusion to an interesting game and cuts down the deficit to only 3 points. And we see the first London. I'm out of here. Yeah, banned also. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've come around to accepting that it's a good opening, but I still don't like it. Speaking of London, have you seen the TV show Gangs of London?
No. Should I?
Yeah. The action is very good. It's by the guy who did The Raid and The Raid 2. So it's incredibly good action. As for the scheming of the Gangs of London that you have to sit through in order to get to the action, yeah, but it's a great fast-forward show and fast-forward to action scenes. So it's the best action there has ever been, I would argue, in a TV series.
Seriously?
Yeah. Have you seen The Raid and The Raid 2? It's
you told me about The Raid and The Raid, so I haven't seen either of those. I think you've pointed me to the huge poster in the, what's it called? That Savoy. I think there was a poster in the Savoy you pointed to me and said, this is the best action sequence ever. And then
arguable, but probably, yeah.
And then I said, what about the train fight? And you said, yeah, that's probably better.
The train fight?
In the Old Boy. Is it not on the train?
It's not a train. It's when he escapes from his prison.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the train fight is probably in the, what's it called, the Snowpiercer, and those are not very good.
Nah. Train to Busan has some good train fights. Anyway, this position looks, I don't know, equal. The white king is maybe a teeny tiny bit safer, so I'd be very scared with black because there's so many potential targets, but I guess there's not anything happening objectively.
Not right now, no. Although, yeah, as these positions do get kind of tricky if white develops any kind of initiative at all. Famously, Magnus won something similar-ish looking in the World Blitz final in 2019, but his position was like 5 tempi ahead of this. Here, black has all the pieces out, and it's much harder to develop some kind of a sneak attack on the king side. Yeah, e4 followed by f3 is what you end up doing as a kind of a default, because it's more or less never bad, but it's also not going to be, spectacular here.
No, it also somewhat softens your control of the center, right? Like Yeah, feels like if you have to go f3, there's also no more queen switches to the king side. MVL should manage. He does.
Yeah, and Nihal, I think, made saying this when he's still half a minute behind. This sounds a bit weird, but it feels to me like he is making a bit of an effort to play faster in this game, because normally he would be further behind in terms of clock management.
There's some good stuff happening in the chat. I'm not sure we can get to all of it. First of all, New Robot Overlord is saying, Jan Peter, can you stop already with the chess and get back to television, please? We appreciate such comments, so thank you. Bike Boy is saying, Jan Peter, settle a bet. My friend says knights should face forward at the start. I say towards the side to guard against a flank attack. Who's right?
Mine are always forward facing, but I can only state my personal preference. I always adjust them so that they're facing forward.
To no one's surprise, mine are always facing to the side to show even before the game starts. I'm not in an aggressive mood. Draw is fine. I'm trying to use my knights to send that message loud and clear. And it upsets me when I play someone who adjusts their knights to face forward. But I think it's more or less 50-50, like the preferences. I'm not quite sure what's more prevalent.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen enough of the side-facing freaks in my life to admit that. Oh. I like that face. That face is
the side-facing face.
Very side-facing face. Yes, it was very, very appropriate.
There are some questions, but mainly directed at Mr. Dodgy, what dark rituals he used to take over the Chess24 team. It's a bit unclear how this happened, because I'm not sure if you know this old saying, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. But I think we are through all these phases, and we are pretty much resigned to the dodgy reign at this point.
The reign of terror.
I'm not sure. It could be, he could be a strict, harsh, but fair leader. It could still be the case.
Yeah, I was about to say EF looks very, very strong here, and Nihal does play that. Rook d6, queen g5, I think is... Although you can maybe even play that. Rook d6, queen g5, rook d7. Does that lose? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe this is... I mean, it's scary if I can play rook h4, rook g4, or what have you, but it's scary. But like, if the alternative is to go gf, you probably prefer this.
Dodgy Chess is probably correctly pointing out that there are a few more exciting stages to come. Power trip, flying too close to the sun, and inevitable complete meltdown. Yeah, we've seen these through the history. And I mean, through chess history, of course. More than once, but I have a feeling that Mr. Dodgy will just continue to be a wise, beloved leader until things come to a natural end.
Yeah, and on the topic of wise, benevolent leaders, Baby Yoda is back, which is great news for all of us. And yeah, Nihal is doing a very, very good job in this game. Rook g4 is such a beautiful little move. Comeback is whispered slowly. Comeback is on.
This is quite a show. He is a pretty gifted chess player. How do you checkmate though? Maxime is so slippery.
I think queen h5 check was winning on the previous move, but this probably also wins. But queen h5 check was cleaner. This might become a bit of a mess now again. Although I suspect white is, yeah, rook h4 here, we win, yeah. Come on, rook h4. This is extended.
Can we change the score? It's 8-5. No? Sorry, that wasn't at you.
No, I understand, yeah. But yeah, he does win this game, which is very, very impressive, because he he won it from a sort of a starting position of not very much. I think he wasn't that much better.
He played the London. So it's 8-6 now, is that correct?
I think it's X6 now, which is, definitely close enough for the bullet to be extremely exciting. And MVL going for the symmetrical G3 Grunfeld. I wonder if he is... Yeah, he's not. I was going to say, I wonder if he's running scared, but that's not what's happening. I don't think MVL is sort of ever running scared. He just wants to play a slower game just to take a breather, because he did lose 2 in a row just now.
Yeah, also maybe he felt these Caro-Cam positions he was getting were less to his liking than asking a new question and these D3 Spanishes, so he's changing tunes a little bit. Pawn to C3. Yeah. Moves are being made. I got some more food.
And this one isn't even empty, so you're not forced to eat the bottle, I assume.
No, this is still food.
Yeah, this looks very, very comfortable for black there. Positions like this should normally present absolutely no problem to black whatsoever. I'm a bit surprised by MVL's choice here. Yeah, we snap on F3 here.
C6.
Yeah, it's not obligatory, but yeah, I think we snap on F3 here and play on.
There's an important question by Yep Yippin. He's saying, why am I always thinking about the highly controversial Ewok franchise when I'm seeing Peter analyzing? First of all, what's an Ewok franchise? Does he just mean the Star Wars Ewoks, or is that a thing I'm not aware of?
Yeah, I don't know why Ewok specifically got mentioned there, but
Ewoks are just the Star Wars fuzzy warriors tribe.
Yeah,
right?
they are the cuddly bears, which are not very cuddly eventually. Yeah. That question, no answer, I have to. Is my best Yoda impression at a short notice.
That was pretty good. As for the position, I guess it's still roughly equal. I'm not sure about E5 because, diagonals and so on, but it should still be fine for black. No, knight C5.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, in particular if you're forced to go rook b1 back and give up the e file, which you might have to now because queen takes b3 is a big threat. And I don't think we want to lay b4 either. Yeah, if black assumes control over the e file, you might start preferring black here. I wonder if anyone in chat actually kind of paid enough attention to tell us when the 3+1 portion started.
Chat, did you pay enough attention? If not, please try to keep track of everything and prepare yourself for random questioning.
Yeah, there will be an exam at the end of the show.
Grades will be given, and for those who do not pass, you have to repeat today's show.
JustFan993 says one more game after this. This does sound very, very likely because I think they ended the 5+1 about an hour ago, and then they had a bit of a break. So this game finishes, it probably doesn't reach the limit. They start another one, and that will be the end.
Bunch of people are saying 17 minutes left, which would contradict the thesis of one more game, no?
Yeah.
By a bunch of people, I mean Mr. Dodgy and Jake Loans.
Yeah, but those people have swords.
But do they have sources?
I have a feeling they have an official source to rely on even.
You have my source. Queen c5, I don't understand what's going on here. Probably not much.
Not very much, yeah. You can play d4 and more or less force white to play c4, but that also kills off your own pieces. So despite creating a passer in the center, I'm not sure how much of whether this constitutes a lot of progress or not.
d4 plate. c4.
Yeah, I think this is still fine for white, and that's a move I did not expect, but maybe it makes sense just to make sure you never blunder the pawn on a5 this way. Rook e1, the queen sidesteps somewhere, goes c6, black goes c6, c5, and then he pretty much never makes any progress. I guess that's how the story goes here normally. White is just a little bit too solid. This is curious though, because yeah, you're allowing d3.
There's no trickery.
I think you're allowing d3 here. Bishop d3, queen d6 wins a piece, right? Why are we allowing d3 suddenly? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not in agreement with this.
Peter Svidler does not approve.
No. I am Peter Svidler and I do not approve. Yeah, but I also don't necessarily approve of knight d4. I would have played something like queen d6, knight c5 and tried to preserve the pawn on d3 at all costs.
I just spotted that knight b3 we have a Zwischenschach.
Yeah, we definitely have a Zwischenschach. Otherwise, yeah, now
we might be
black is still far. Rook e4, hang on. Why did we play rook d4? Sorry, queen d4. Why did we allow rook e4? This looks like it's maybe going off the rails a little bit.
No? Threaten a little check. Yeah.
Yeah, queen e3 appears to be ending the game. Yeah, looks like MVL very successfully played give them enough rope game in this one. There should be some kind of a forced win here after bishop f8, king f8, like rook e8 check and h5 probably. In practical terms, it's probably mate. Because on 5 seconds, black is just never going to be able to solve those issues. Or this, yeah, just continue generating mating threats and eventually black will blunder one of them. I think is a good practical approach. Queen d6, rook e8 was winning. Yeah, queen h6, queen d6 is now mate. Which I assume MVL will see momentarily. Bet to plus
Battery
3.
is saying, Jan only drinks vanilla smoothies. If I'm wrong, he'll say it on stream. You, sir, are wrong. This, for example, is apple cinnamon. See? Not vanilla.
I make my own.
That was a tough loss for Nihal from a good position.
Yeah, that was a position he probably did not expect to lose. And yeah, it's a huge difference between, let's say, I mean, -1 and -3, but even -2 and -3 is important. But and psychologically, it's very, very important that MVL would manage to kind of stop the rod there a little bit.
We are seeing a new opening in the MVL gets to try out all the openings against 1d4 until one sticks. This one, kids, is called the Queen's Indian, not to be confused with the Netflix hit show, The Queen's Gambit. This one is the move b6 opposed to d5, which would constitute the Queen's Gambit. And typically the Indian openings, Nimzo Indian, Queen's Indian, King's Indian, are characterized by these pawns not being put in the center too quickly, but black relying on piece development first, keeping his pawn formation flexible. As for the position now, c6, a bit of a sideline, but nothing unheard of. After queen c2, the critical test is usually to grab this pawn, one move order or another. But I guess MVL's studies have not taken him here yet. Bishop d2, bishop e7. I think e4 is supposed to be the critical move here, but bishop g2, c6 castles, I assume, is doable as well. Sorry, I'm done talking about chess. I felt I had to for 2 minutes, so now I can lean back again.
Yeah, opening theory. What can I say? Not a thing I'm intimately familiar with.
Books, kids.
White should be making some progress here, but I'm slightly weirded out by that knight on d3. I don't know what it's doing there.
especially after CD5, what this was about at all. After knight FT7, knight D3, it's very atypical thing in these structures. 95 already. I'm not sure with the bishop on D2. It's rarely ever seen. Usually you play rook D1 or bishop F4 or a move in that vein. So I don't think this went particularly well for Nihal.
Yeah, I think black is very comfortably equal. Maybe even you can make an argument for black being slightly better because the bishop on E7 is a bit more alive than the bishop on G2. But yeah, the position is a little bit too symmetrical for that to actually matter, I would assume. And that should suit MVL just fine, just having a quiet game with zero problems, running into the bullet with the 3-point cushion he has.
How do you manage to talk and write at the same time?
I do not know. It is one of the true modern miracles. Why was Queen D1 necessary?
Yeah, it's just boring. They're moving pieces around.
I have a feeling this game will still become, yeah, maybe not after 92. I was going to say this game will still become a little bit interesting at some point, but yeah, I'm not convinced anymore. Probably won't. I wonder if it's in Nihal's interest to just offer a draw here, and I wonder if MVL takes it if that happens.
Looks like
that actually did happen. Okay.
Wow.
So that should be either the last one or maybe the penultimate one, depending on how long it goes, and then we are into the bullet.
Another Caro-Kann. I'm tired of all the chess. What's happening in the world out there, Peter? You're well connected. You're reading various Telegram accounts. What is going on?
Not entirely sure which of my anonymous Telegram accounts interest you so much, but yeah, I think we're all with varying degree of intensity. We're all waiting for the morning of the 4th to roll in.
Morning, how do you spell that? M-O-R or M-O-U-R?
Yeah, there's been a lot of the... Why is that a very topical joke? For some reason, I've seen it being made a lot recently.
Oh, no, it just occurred to me. I thought it was a good joke, but I might not be the first one to think of that.
Yeah, I think, in terms of things happening in the world, that's probably the story of the forthcoming weeks and month, even because, if you believe at least half of what you read, this might not end on Tuesday. Might continue for a while, but apart from that, I don't know, not very much. My
gym is closing tomorrow. That's the biggest storyline in Yanistan.
Yeah,
everything's closing except supermarkets, businesses, places of business, and pharmacies. It's going to be a long month of November, even without US politics.
That is true, yeah. You should get onto the workout by Skype train. It's a...
Can I use like Zoom or Jitsi or Microsoft Teams or any non-Skype thing?
Yeah, you can do, like, in my case, I can probably really only use Skype because my trainer is not a fan of all of those newfangled things you mentioned, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll try, but this is me not kidding. I think for my mental health, having the routine to go to the gym, to actually leave the house, go for a 10-minute walk, go there, do my stuff, go back is pretty important. And I tend to get much worse when I can't do it. So I have to think about how I can fight off the November depression that usually comes anyway. And it's Yeah, it's going to be rough.
Yeah, exactly. We live in a part of the planet where it gets kind of a bit too dark for human beings to actually inhabit these latitudes, and dumb people that we are, we haven't really arranged any alternative accommodation for the winter month, or at least in my case. I don't know, maybe you have managed in the meantime.
No, I'll be here. Thailand is closed.
Yeah, in the meantime, Nihal is in a lot of trouble here because he will now have the
Irish Pawn Center.
Exactly, yeah, what I've been advised in no uncertain terms to never refer to as an Irish pawn center, which also will become just double pawns, because I think the f5 pawn is a goner. So yeah, MVL is striking back just in time. I think +2 would have been a very, very interesting bullet portion. If he goes back to +4, I think he coasts from here. Assuming this is the last one, but yeah, I'm back home in St. Petersburg, Little Chestnut. Have been since late March. It's driving me, frankly, somewhat insane. It's the longest.
By the way, just to clarify, sorry.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying I'm strongly opposed to gyms closing. I'm just saying that for my mental health and routines is bad news. I don't actually have a hot take on if gyms should stay open or stay closed. From what I heard, not many people infect themselves in gyms, but also getting all these measures right seems tricky as to what to leave open and what not. It seems incredibly difficult. So I don't have a strong opinion on it. It's just bad news for me personally.
Yeah, I also, the moment the gyms reopened, that was a good day. There have not been very many of those, but definitely gyms reopening was one of them, because it does give you additional structure to fall back on.
Because just for me, selfishly, personally, bars or restaurants being closed won't change my daily life all that much. But the gym is the only one that's really rough. Also, half serious question. Has the social distancing, you're probably not as awkward about these things as I am, but as someone who's not a big hugger, which I guess is familiar thing in chess circles, has it made your life easier that nowadays you're not supposed to hug and kiss people when saying hi or even shake hands? Because my natural MO, which is to stay away from everybody, now is the thing you're supposed to do. No, not saying Corona is a good thing, but I'm saying this actually made my social interactions easier.
No, for me, I'm a lot more of a touchy-feely person.
You're much more touchy.
Yeah. True. So, yeah, in particular, like when, at the height of the first iteration of this, like April, May, not being able to support my mom in any way, apart from like hanging food outside her door, because we were really, really scared. Like for me, it would be bad, but for her, we're still really, really worried about our parents more than we are worried for ourselves. And having to like talk to her.
That the rook just got trapped. Sorry.
Yeah. Whoa, it actually gets caught with bishop c8. Yeah, and Nihal spotted it, but that's going to be a little bit too little too late. Yeah, you don't save these positions.
Okay.
That's just
game over.
Bishop d7 or bishop d3 c4 or whatever, doesn't really matter. So that period where we had to do basically everything via phone calls, and it wasn't great for me, and it definitely wasn't great for her either. But I've become slightly more relaxed about this, because I think, us being a bit happier probably outweighs the safety precautions, with all the safety precautions we do take.
Yeah, no, it's another very difficult question. I want this to get too political or anything, but my mom, she's in her 70s, and I'm sort of telling her to not mess around and play it safe. But it's also very hard. She lives alone usually to tell all people to get rid of, her life, which is seeing her family and visiting her friends and so on. So it's very tricky.
It's not been great for our elders for sure, and not a very cheerful topic at all.
Speaking of not a very cheerful topic, we have another London system on the board.
Yeah, that as well, but I think it's one of the rare cases where I could be convinced that London is not the most cheerless thing on the menu here. What's the score? I've lost track a little bit. Is it back to +4 now?
10.5, 6.5.
Yeah, okay. And this probably is the last 3+1 game. So, yeah, should be very difficult to come back from here for the young man.
Yeah, this will be a rough one. Because we mentioned the bullet portion when Nihal could be a favorite is also not a real bullet. It's 1+1, and the extra 1 second pretty much ensures he's not going to be a dominant favorite, even if the time getting less and less will probably help his chances somewhat.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I know for me there is an unbelievable difference between 1-0 and 1+1, but yeah. I'm much worse than MVL at bullet. So for him, maybe it's a smaller difference, but it should still favor him, I think. Yeah, whereas for me, it's really the difference between some kind of half-life and just complete death when I'm playing against somebody competent.
Mm-hmm. Queen b4.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't think it was required, but it's a perfectly fine choice. How are you guys in checkers? Asks Sukiria. Have you ever played much checkers, drafts, whatever?
No.
I basically gave up after I realized I'm bad at it, and decided not to even attempt to improve. And by bad, I mean like really, really bad. I would assume
normally being really, really bad doesn't stop you from investing a couple of years into a game, no?
That is fair. Yeah, I deserve that. But in case of checkers, I just couldn't really see the point in trying to improve. Although I assume if I wanted to dedicate like a couple of months to actually studying, I could get to some kind of a like intermediate level because the skill set is just so easily passed on. But yeah, I'm bad at the game.
I'm not sure I know the rules. Like, I know you capture diagonally and you try to line them up, but I can't recall ever having really played, so no clue.
I've seen some very nice puzzles recently. I think Kirill showed me some puzzles where chess pieces are supposed to win against a single checkers piece on an empty board, a kind of a domination geometry puzzles, but I don't think
Shouldn't Kirill be busy watching Marvel movies and preparing for candidates? How does he have time for checkers?
That's not checkers specifically. That's a chess puzzle.
Okay.
Forces you to think about chess in a slightly different way.
No, all I know is that it's actually more complicated than we, the chess people, probably give it credit for. There is a saying, this is chess, not checkers. Checkers is actually a tricky game, no?
It is, yeah. I mean, the 64 square game has pretty much been solved, but the 100 square is, I think, alive and doing quite okay. And it's also a bit of a, strangely enough, a bit of a political topic in St. Petersburg, because the City Chess Club, which has been more or less exclusively, the haven for chess players, has at some point through, mishaps in administration been completely overtaken by the checkers people. And they are now trying to kind of exile the every mention of chess from the chess club. Like the pictures of people who won the Leningrad/St. Petersburg chess championship are now on a much farther wall than they used to be before, and the checkers people are now on the proper wall, and so on and so forth. So it's a huge big deal locally.
I thought this checkers boom was just on Twitch with all these big new checker streamers, but it seems like it's already affecting local communities as well.
Yes, it's a tragic story. I'm sort of not even entirely joking, because I mean, nobody really cares where the pictures hang, but the new administration started firing coaches and so on, and at the time it was a reasonably important topic, because the chess club, apart from being a very nice historic building where tournaments are occasionally held, was home to a very good junior school. And when the new administration started firing coaches who have done nothing wrong whatsoever, that wasn't great.
I can imagine. My heavyset wife is saying it's just more horse shit being fed to us by big checkers. That could be. Who can really tell nowadays? Are we done with the 3-1 portion?
I would assume so. Yeah, I think
there's
that's
a short break.
I think that's it for the 3-1, and there's now going to be half an hour of bullet with MVL enjoying a very healthy 4-point cushion before the start of it.
Yeah, must be nice. So what else is happening in your world? There's a question when the candidates will resume. I'm assuming you don't know either. We're operating under the assumption
March, I think.
Probably March or April next year, something like that.
Yeah, I think they said March, which does sound like, I mean, November always sounded unbelievably optimistic to me. Putting it mildly, March does sound like something that might happen. But yeah, we don't know what world we'll be living on by the time March rolls on. So I wouldn't put it at 100% either, but it does sound like something that could very easily actually happen.
Do you have any travel plans in the foreseeable future? We've touched on this, but
there is. They're actually holding the Russian clubs, I think. At least it hasn't been. Yes, over the board in Sochi late November. They held an event in like the higher league already happened over the board in Sochi. So they are kind of not tentatively, but they are holding events with all the precautions in place, like no spectators, temperature checks, and masks and gloves, and pieces being washed and everything. But Russian clubs I'm probably missing that one. There's also talk of the Russian Super Final being held in December in Moscow. Once again, Russian Super Final is something I generally enjoy playing, but I kind of told them sort of tentatively yes, but very much dependent on what life will look like in December. I don't know. I don't think they know. I definitely don't know myself. So I understand, it gives them something to aim for when they make plans like this, but as they say, all of those sayings don't actually translate into English very well, but yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. The Fates play the man and the man plays the tuba or some such. Yeah, like it's we don't really know. I've completely switched to day by day planning. When you said that we're fortunate that we only started speaking about this show last evening, and here we are doing it. That's perfectly normal in my world right now. Like
yeah.
all the planning is extremely short.
Some of these new suits on making my life tough, like Mr. Doci. Sometimes they ask me, what do we do about the show the day after tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, madness.
Speaking of which, do you have time the day after tomorrow?
Madness. Like, who would think of that question? Who would think that question was okay? That is not okay.
Let's talk tomorrow.
Exactly. Exactly.
See, Mr. Dodgy, I'm trying. Please report back.
When do you get your vaccine shot, Peter? I do not intend to do it early. I have sort of conflicting emotions about the vaccine, and for now, I'm just doing all of the responsible things without doing that. Like I don't go outside much. When I do, I have all of my, the masks and the aversion to people that I have developed and all of those things. I have them ready at hand.
I'm getting some stuff the day after tomorrow, but it's not a corona vaccine, I'm assuming, but some, what's it called? I think it's just a flu shot. Pneumococcus, or I don't know what that is. But whenever I'm being told you can show up at 8 a.m. and we'll give you a shot, and then I'm in. But I think, yeah, it's just a flu shot. One of my many doctors want me to get.
Yeah, the flu shot does. I've seen that mentioned more than once, and it does appear to be a decent idea, but I don't know.
I'm being informed there's nothing to cover the day after tomorrow, but on Wednesday there's a big match, which means it's pointless that we talk about it tomorrow. So let's talk about it the day after tomorrow.
Yeah, Tuesday is the day to talk about it, obviously.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm definitely, Dodgy is absolutely correct. I live in mortal fear of 5G towers and the chips Bill Gates is trying to install in my head. All of those things they occupy my waking hours. I think of nothing else.
But is it so scary a proposition for you that Bill Gates knows what you're doing when you're usually streaming it anyway?
Yeah, I mean, this being Twitch chat, I probably should have added 1 or 2 kappas at the end of that sentence if it wasn't clear enough that I wasn't very serious. But yeah, like the whole, I think we've had this conversation, right? Being scared about, and it's a bit glib, but with all of our, we're not going to cut down on the usage of smartphones and computers and the things, right? And if you aren't going to do that, why are you suddenly so afeared of an additional little chip in you? Honestly, not that anybody's going to install one, but they know everything about your life anyway. Why is this?
I'm more in that camp generally too, although I think it's a bigger political debate behind it. But yeah, me personally, I'm also not that scared. But you mentioned that we're not going to cut down on our smartphone usage. And I couldn't disagree more. I personally, for example, I just ordered an iPad to get over my iPhone addiction, because now I have screens in all the sizes. I have an Apple Watch. I'm sure there are other great smartwatches too. For the smallest, then I have the phone, then I'll have an iPad, then I'll have my laptop, then I obviously have the bigger computer, then I have my TV in the living room,
and the
projector, projector upstairs. So I think at this point I can numb myself with a screen of a different size wherever I am in this house.
That is very professional. I still don't actually possess a working tablet, which is,
there you go. Neither did I, so I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Actually, my honest reasoning, because this is true, is that I'm trying to fight off brain death slowly, and I'm trying to get back. That's at least my excuse for buying more nonsense or more great tech. I'm trying to get back into reading newspapers, and I haven't found a convenient way to do it. I was actually buying them analog, but I never liked these giant newspapers, which well, you can't put them anywhere, and they're very hard to read. So that didn't work. Then I tried reading them on my phone, which I've been reading New York Times on my phone for a while, but it's not ideal either, I would say. So I think a tablet is the only way to consume a newspaper, and I have no idea how people did it before tablets.
Fair enough. Yeah, I've kind of given up on reading newspapers altogether. So
Oh, so had I, but the tablet will save me and make me an informed citizen. Also, with books, you read books the old way, paper books, right?
I do all three now. I read paper books, I listen to books, and I also got myself a Kindle, and I'm very happy with my Kindle. I've been kind of resisting buying a Kindle for a while, but then it was explained to me that you are not beholden to the evil Google corporation if you buy a Kindle, and that clinched it. And I'm very happy with that purchase.
Yeah, I have a Kindle too, but it's another sad topic that I don't read as much as I would like to. Somehow, yeah, I haven't used it that frequently. I don't think a tablet will change it that much when it comes to books. But in general, yeah, you reading anything on my phone, books or newspapers, I didn't find ideal. So we'll see. The only books I can consume nowadays are coffee table books. So I buy a lot of coffee table books, literally put them on the coffee table. And then when I'm sitting there, I can read them. I got a good dinosaur book now.
And the Spanish discussion resumes for whatever reason. I really don't know. Like, this is where me doing some research for the show would have come in handy, because surely Nihal knows some other openings.
Yeah, this is a good line too, but either you know your stuff here or
no. This is a forced draw, as I mentioned.
Switch lines. Yeah. I think this has been analyzed to a draw, but of course you need to know. And Maxime is not naive enough to repeat knight f7 here, which Nihal.
What was the solution, by the way? I don't
know. I just saw it 0-0-0.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's in my notes, so check these notes, but I can't recall it.
Yeah, so it definitely is in mine as well, because I've looked at this myself. I've also discussed this with Kirill, who, as mentioned, played this against MVL. I think maybe even up to here, this is still MVL versus Kirill. It does look stunningly familiar. Yeah, looks like nothing at all for white now that the knight comes back to e6, but also why is Nihal going for these like long theoretical lines where, you know, if he does everything correctly, he'll just make a draw?
Yeah, no, the problem seems to be that his expected value is just not very high.
Yeah,
and I'm being told that after knight f7, queen b8 is the solution. I'm not sure.
Oh
where.
Dear.
Here?
Gee. Queen b8.
Sounds to me.
That looks extremely weird, yeah, but who knows? Maybe it takes queen e6, queen b8.
Queen e6. Oh yeah, even that is.
Yeah, that stops the smothered mate. Yeah, that I can definitely believe in. Yeah, stopping knight h6, queen g8 does look kind of important.
Anyway, draw in that game. Was it a draw? It disappeared so quickly.
Probably was draw, yeah. And now they're playing.
Yeah, draw agreed, and they're back at it. The time control now is 1 minute plus 1 second, but being down 4 points. Nihal has a bit of an uphill battle here.
Okay, I've kind of blanked on the e3 square one, though, if white blundered something, but obviously not.
Such positions are always better for white. This is a very strange choice by Maxime. Maybe it's part of Maxime's opening experiments, but in general, these structures, even with just one pair of bishops, are tremendously unpleasant for black.
Yeah, this is not particularly fun. Although now that he gets to push b5, it's not really that horrible. But it's still annoying, even if you achieve what you're absolutely supposed to achieve here with black. Bishop d5, even those positions aren't entirely equal, because you always have to watch out for some kind of sudden g4, h takes g4, h5, and oops, you got mated out of nowhere. But yeah, I think Maxime kind of relies on his experience in these types of structures.
Defending horrible positions?
This is no longer really horrible, I think.
Okay, but this is just really bad. I don't care how much experience you have. Like, this is not something you should go for.
Probably not. Yeah, it surprised me as well. But yeah, now he is arguably slightly better.
No, he's okay.
So, yeah. Nobody really is better here, but if anyone is, well, not with the rooks off, but as long as he controlled the c file, I would argue black was maybe slightly better. Yeah, this is just a very, very comfortable draw for black.
Every draw, obviously, being 4 points up, is getting him somewhat closer to victory.
Closer and closer to the finish line. Yeah, and this is actually, me being not as much as I used to, but still a bit of a numbers and strategy nerd. Are you supposed to play this one with white, or are you supposed to offer a draw? Trailing by 4.
You want to get rid of the game as quickly as possible. No, you're not going to win.
Yeah, I think you're actually supposed to make sure that this is a draw as quickly as possible and start a new one. Because I don't. Although
I think you have bigger problems than maximizing your saving 20 seconds EV at this point. I don't think.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously, this is a very minor point, but it was a minor point that kind of briefly amused me for a second. So I thought. He's actually made some progress. You can. This one you can definitely imagine black losing because Maxime has to switch to the defending passively. He's still fine, but definitely progress has been made. The issue is that in order to play for a win, you do have at some point to start running with the king towards the checks, and I think in bullet, the side that gives checks is always favored because you can start giving weird checks and you can't pre-move against them.
Agreed. Still, there's 1 extra second. It's not really bullet. You don't have to pre-move. You can just make a quick move.
Well, yeah. I mean, probably true for most people. I know it's not true for me. Like I can't actually deal with this, but. Yeah, interesting that Maxime allows that, but yeah, that's always going to be a perp somewhere. Yeah. King h2 though? Yeah, Queen c5 is clever. Queen c5 is a good move because otherwise Queen a7 b7 would have been very painful, but now.
Maxime was not born yesterday. Maybe he was born yesterday, 30 years ago. Why is white winning now?
Was winning for 1 move seemingly on our screens, but I don't know why. I'm guessing something very smart was missed there because the evaluation for a second there dropped. Rose all the way up for white. I mean, unless it's some kind of an engine glitch, white was, for a very, very short moment.
Nietzsche, as we say in Germany.
Whoa, and already 6 moves.
96, you predicted it.
Yeah, but that's what the entirety of my knowledge about this. Like, I have no idea why this move is any good and what the point is exactly, but.
Let's see if Nihal has. G3 looks natural. Am I running into some trickery? No, he plays Queen C4.
Don't really know. Yeah, this endgame normally is completely fine for black because you can't even really comfortably force the bishop. Yeah, and just as I say that, he goes e6 and we'll have to put the bishop on g6 again. But it's probably, all that, it has not been forced. And now you can play for f5, f4 counterplay, f5, bishop b7 counterplay if you need to. Bishop g4 is a reasonable move either immediately or later.
Yeah. So what else is happening? We've covered all the topics. You're not really watching movies or TV shows, so we've lost that talking point. Neither of us is leaving our house as much.
Yeah.
So what else is there?
I don't honestly know. I've been I'm scared to mention it, but I've been reading some books. But I know Nizaki will be very excited by this discussion. But apart
what
from
books
him,
are you reading?
I've been I'm back to reading a lot of Brandon Sanderson, which I think is it's a kind of a misplay, but not a huge one.
What, reading Brandon Sanderson?
Yeah, I think the issue with Brandon Sanderson is that he's written so much, and I am such a completist in general that, you know, this creates huge time sinks for me.
Yeah, it's one of the more infuriating things about you, that you can't just check out people's good stuff, but you feel if you read one good book by someone, you have to read their 38 crappy books as well, because if not, I don't know what your fear is there, but you feel you can't just consume single works, no?
Yeah, I'm really bad at quitting things, which yeah, in case of specifically Sanderson, it's just a disaster because the man is prolific. He is just unstoppable in terms of producing more and more content. So
he's like a reverse George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, something like that. So I am now like in 3 books into the new series, and Miyazaki has successfully bullied me into purchasing like side projects of that series, and yeah, there is no end in sight. I don't know. Like, this is nice. Rook D1 check by Nihal.
Do you once try to get me to read one Brandon Sanderson book, but I think I rejected it because of the cover.
No, I don't think that was Sanderson. No.
Did you forget it here? I'm pretty sure I have a Sanderson book in my house, but it has a cover of a dude.
Pizza Racer has upset me greatly. I've read all 7 Pizza Racer, and I regret that decision daily. That's not true, not daily. I do regret that decision, but it doesn't really consume my every waking hour.
That's how I feel about asking you what else is going on.
Apologies.
What's going on here? DC. Nihal, but it's time to start winning some games.
He did win the previous one, so I don't know why you are
games. But yeah, fair point. Passpawn 999 is saying, have you started reading the new Gelfand books? I read the first 2. I haven't read the what's called major piece endings or something, the latest one yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Enjoyed the first 2.
I think white can take on h3 and on d6 twice in some order, right? So that doesn't seem like best business practice for black.
Seems that I'm assuming his username is actually pronounced Lion Beast, not Lion Beast. Seems like the Lion Beast might be tiring a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's flagging a little bit in the other sense of the word, not the one we're used to in this channel. But the cushion might just be big enough. I think the starting 4 points might just be a little bit too much. We'll see. After rook f8, you can go rook takes f7. I don't know if you should, but you could you definitely could go rook f7 here.
Tactics,
yeah. Is this the real line? Yeah. That's a very topical joke. Rook f7, rook d8. Whoa, that might be a very important little turning point there, because my cute tactic might actually cost Nihal the game here. Oh, rook g7, whatever. Yeah, more tactics. Yeah. Young man has recovered quite well and is now completely winning. Yeah, queen e7, and we can collect everything with checks. Yeah, just take on a7. Show the old man the futility of his struggle.
Yeah, this is looking pretty good. Queen to f4. And so 4 pawns are 4 pawns.
Yeah, that's -2, yeah? -2 is manageable.
Yeah, especially with the trend being his friend.
Yeah. I don't know how good that is, though.
It's nice in small doses. You don't want to have to hang out with the trend for more than 2 hours. But small doses, it's good.
Yeah, I've been subjected to the more than usual dose of the trend being my friend recently, and yeah, it's challenging. He is very intense.
Lawrence, if you're watching, can't wait for all the fun that we'll have tomorrow.
He has also he's gained a lot of new confidence in his personal life recently, so he has become even more.
Oh, he's not miserable? I prefer miserable Trent. I thought I was still dealing with miserable Trent.
It's very unclear which one will show up tomorrow, but I think it's probably not going to be the absolutely miserable Trent. No, I think
I don't want him too miserable, just, reasonably miserable.
No, I think his life has taken a turn for the better, which is good. At some point, he really was extremely down in the dumps, and that was hard to.
No, I don't want that either. I want him somewhere in the middle, like unhappy but not.
Yeah, and dodgy with the absolutely spot-on statement. It's clear which one will leave the show tomorrow. Yeah, I think that is a good bet. Yeah. What's a fantasy series with very good pros? Name of the Wind is excellent in that respect, for instance. I very much like Patrick's writing. What's happening here? 40 seconds against 24 seconds is probably what's happening here, yeah?
That's still normal, but the position looks...
Yeah,
I was going to say strange, but I don't even freaking know. Queen H1 looks funny too.
Yeah, but it's doing a very decent job of defending everything, and now the rook has finally come in, and yeah, looks like MVL will be able to control this. F4 is ambitious, though. I don't know if I like F4. Well, apparently he is in trouble now once again, if we can trust the whoa, bishop b2. I think Queen e3 check was probably very strong there, but
Rook e7, so alert, stopping Queen e3, attacking the bishop, threatening a7. This is gonna be tough.
Yeah, and this is just mate because White just collects everything with checks and wins. Queen a8 and Queen d5 and. Yeah, bad news bears. And this is back to +3. This is a hugely important game.
That was a key game, yeah.
Yeah. If Nihal actually wins this, it's only 1 point difference, I think, if I haven't miscounted anything. And yeah, that would have been very, very interesting to watch.
Hang on, let me text Niels Grandelius. It was +2. I'll ask him. If Nihal wins. Yeah, confirmed, +1.
And they're coming, I think, towards the end of that portion. Once again, 13 minutes left. That's a lot more than I thought. I thought they were really coming very, very close to the end of the bullet portion. If there's 13 minutes left, there's definitely some life left in the match. If Nihal wins, let's say this one and the next one, he might have enough. But he really does need to win a couple in a row here.
So he's 3 points down, and there are realistically 3 till 4 games left. That means your math sounds sound.
Yeah, and yeah, that Caro in the previous game was a huge turning point because I didn't really think it would get that close, but.
Take some d4 or something?
Rook cd7, I think. That's the issue. I think that's
some b4 maybe. Oh no, he goes for this, but he probably missed the same trick.
What takes rook cd7, I guess, is also pretty decent. Stopping, I think knight takes c5 was the reason that MVL included that.
This is it. Nihal's not winning this.
Probably not. Yeah, it is. His war, just straight up wars. D5, E6 doesn't save the pawn either.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also 40 seconds against 15. So yeah, it's very difficult to imagine how he ever wins this position.
He just doesn't. Monsieur Maxime.
Yeah, very, very solid. Yeah, I thought 97 C5 was cleaner, but this is also fine. Whoa, okay.
Nothing really matters.
Yeah.
F3 is not exactly.
No, yeah, and now black maybe even is completely winning by, yeah, and I think this resignation here just kind of signals the effective end of the match. +4 with, we assume, 3 to play.
Yep, this is it. So have you seen the new Borat movie?
I have seen probably the same 20 seconds everyone has seen.
What do you mean?
There is a particular scene in the movie which I think everybody who has not been living under a rock in the last week has seen, but
but you haven't seen the whole thing.
No. Yeah, MVL started winning just as you guys said he was flagging. The anti-jinx is on. Yeah, I think that's probably a fair description of what we're doing here. The jinxer will come tomorrow. Today is the anti-jinx team.
That is true. Who do you think has been called jinx more often? Lawrence Trent or Robert Durst?
Well, I know who has been called the jinx more often by me, but in general, I don't know. In general, yeah, it's less clear. Never forget is right, Bear 856. Never forget.
As for this position, it probably doesn't matter all that much, but it doesn't look great for Nihal either.
Yeah, the bishop on b7 is a little bit too dead.
He found a nice sequence to not get checkmated here, but it looks like Maxime is still...
It really postpones the inevitable. Yeah, rook c1, queen h5. The black pieces are... Material balance is fine for black, but the pieces just don't work together at all. So, yeah, that's basically the end of it. Rook c7, and you resign somewhere here because there's no life left in the old dog.
That is what happened. And in the end, this score is becoming pretty massive in MVL's favor, but it was very close just, 3-4 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has gotten very, very close, but MVL got a handle on it just in time with that. Yeah, that rook e7, a7 sequence was on seconds in a very difficult position, was very, very impressive by Maxime in that Cara. Yeah, I don't know, chess fan. I don't think either of us thought Maxime's edge in this match is anywhere near 2-1.
No.
So, yeah, I don't agree with that. Nihal is very good at this. He is playing somebody world class, so he most likely will end up losing, but he is very good at this.
Not just world class in obviously all the disciplines, but I believe not that long ago, we probably even talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
The consensus was pretty much that the three strongest blitz players in the world were Carlsen, MVL, and Nakamura in whatever order you want to order them.
Yeah, that probably isn't true anymore.
No, that's what I'm saying. It probably changed a bit, but that's like a year ago. I think that's how people felt about it.
Yeah, sure. It still takes a bit of effort for me to kind of adjust to this not being true. It's like MVL, and it's a much less obvious case, but it's a very much a case of the same for me with Sasha. Because regardless of who he is playing, I always feel like in shorter time controls, Sasha is a beast, but he hasn't actually been crushing it, in particular online recently. And every time he loses to somebody in one of these things, it comes as a bit of a shock to me. But That's just my biases showing.
Oh.
Whoa. Okay. Nicely done, but
that one hurts.
Who's the top 3 now? Yeah, the question is who is number 3. I don't really know, like in the current lineups, who would be number 3. I think online, I think Nepo has a case. I think maybe Andreikin and Artemiev have a case of the Russians. I mean, if we talk about the Russians, I mean, Alireza probably is number 3, right?
I think we're talking top 3 worldwide, not just top 3 Russians. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's been a longish show, so I've blanked. Actually, it's the question of who is top 4 really, because I think if we talk online, it is Magnus, Hikaru, and Alireza.
I'm not sure. I would guess it depends a bit on the time control as well. Wesley So I think is tremendously.
Yeah, Wesley is just a beast as well. Yeah. It's very difficult to compose these lists properly. It's a fool's errand really to even attempt to. But I think probably most of these people are ahead of MVL in the pecking order by this point, which is how we started on this conversation.
It's not that it couldn't change. I believe it's also with MVL's focus, obviously, being on the candidates, going into the candidates, and now with the uncertain situation, but him being in the lead in the candidates, he shouldn't spend his time playing Blitz online. So it's more than understandable.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, people sleep on Fedoseev, says my heavyset wife. Yeah, I've
recently... 3 Blitz players in the world?
Well, he's Blitz, no, Bullet. He has been ranked very, very high recently. And in my personal experience, when I was preparing for the qualifier for this particular event, I played a shortish training match against Fedoseev and Bullet. And yeah, it's kind of scary. I know I'm not good, but it was still kind of scary how good he was. Probably not Blitz, but definitely he is part of the conversation of the top Blitz, top Bullet players in the world right now.
This doesn't look great for Maxime again, but maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah, it's not really as horrible because it's yeah, the F and G pawns provide enough cover that it's difficult to include any more pieces in the attack. And to do this, Nihal had to give up the B7 pawn, which is important. So and the knight is so far away from any kind of sensible squares. People are interested in the prize pool, which is understandable. I'm pretty sure chess.com has some flagship articles about this event. I could actually just look it up for you. But there are normally very good prizes for the Speed Chess Championship. And with Magnus playing this year, you would assume they are good once again. Infographics. Brackets, prize. So winner of the final gets 10K plus the win percentage money. So there's a reasonably complicated formula which also takes into account how well you beat your opponent if you do win. But 100K total prize fund, which is considering there's 16 players in it, maybe not as massive as you would expect, but still a very, very large prize fund for an online event.
Nihal lost this one, I guess, at this point. We are approaching the end, and mathematically speaking, he can no longer come back. Still, it's been an entertaining match. Nihal put up a good fight, but in the end, the established world-class player did come through.
Yeah, it seems like the margin will be slightly flattering for MVL considering how the beginning of the bullet portion was going. But overall, I think it's fair. MVL looked stronger in the 5 and 3 minute portions, and that is two thirds of the whole match. So
doesn't he look stronger in the 1 minute portion too? He's crushing this one, no?
Yeah, now he is, but that wasn't obvious for the first half of it. Also, I've seen this discussion before, and it's an interesting one because you would think young people actually should have more stamina because of how fresh and nimble and agile they are. But I've heard people say that experience actually makes you better equipped to play longish matches like this, and maybe MVL, who is I think a fixture in the Speed Chess Championships over the years, maybe just has more. He's more used to being in control of his game for the full 3 hours.
Also, I'm not sure how big a factor that is, but I'm assuming it's getting kind of late in India.
That as well, actually. Yeah, it's almost midnight in Russia, which means it's like half past 2-ish, maybe even later than that, right? So yeah, that definitely also starts playing into the whole situation. Yeah, rook takes d5 actually saves the game for white here, I think, but with the match effectively over, I don't really think that matters a great deal.
How do you save it at queen f6, g5?
We're being told it's 1:15 a.m., so I'm guessing daylight savings came in, because I'm pretty sure it used to be.
It's also not true. No, it's 2:15.
Yeah, I would assume so, but Twitch chat never lies to us, so I don't know who to believe.
True, but does Google lie to us?
No, never. Yeah, this one will be a draw, and I don't know. Even the previous one seemed like it should be the last one to me, but they continued playing, so my internal timer clearly has been very much off for the entire duration. But this probably is it now. And yeah, congrats to MVL, who progresses to the next stage, and he will play. Let me find him in the brackets. They will play the winner of Nepomniachtchi Aronian, which is an interesting matchup for a round of 16.
Oh, we get. Well, it's hard to predict who's gonna win that one, but yeah, we either get one of the El Clásicos, Levon versus MVL. They've played a lot of big matches against each other, or we get the two candidates leaders slugging it out. That wasn't English, but you get the idea. So congrats to Monsieur Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Showed his strength in this one. The great news for all of you is that tomorrow it's the return of Lawrence Trent. There's also a match, I think there's a Norwegian guys playing, but mainly it is about catching up with Lawrence Trent. What's been going on in his life? Has he moved into a new place? How happy is he? Is he gonna quarantine? Which country does he currently reside in? I'm sure there will be more questions. I'm also pretty sure he does not waste his time reading books, so there should be more topics to cover with him. Having said all these things, always, Peter, it's been a delight.
Swipe left.
That too. But it's been a delight seeing you after, felt like all these years. We've talked a bit, but we haven't done a show for a while. And yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, it felt like we haven't really done this in a while, and we kind of just when in the old days, I think the pointless TV discussions would have really blossomed. We both seemed to completely lose the will to live, which is the 2020 thing to do. But despite that, I enjoyed it greatly. And now that we've established that I absolutely have to provide an opinion on the Queen's Gambit, we should do it at least once more. And giving
you have until, when was it, Wednesday to watch. It's only 7 episodes, so you can catch up, and then we can go through the Queen's Gambit in great painstaking detail. You can give your opinions on Borgov. And
yes. That is just such a non, like, why can't they create a realistic Russian name?
You don't like the name Borgov?
It's like the Borg, but they added off to the end of it. Like,
yeah,
Bjorn
Borgov, world champion.
No, do not like, no. But anyway.
Anyway, it's a watchable show, but I'm curious about what do you think. I hope this was a watchable show. So thank you so much for everyone at home tuning in. I hope you're okay in these difficult times that we have ahead, wherever you are. We'll be here in whatever lineup, hanging out these days, hopefully, passing the time. In the meantime, check out our friends at Chessable. Now my voice disappears. Where my course, chessable.com/Jan, still on sale. A great E4, E5 repertoire for black. Peter will have a course one day. There are, of course, many other great courses you can explore. But get mine. Other than that, chess24.com. There's always action. The banter blitzes, the video series, everything up and running. Check out the whole family, the whole Play Magnus family. We'll be here with a lost son, or more like the creepy uncle of the family, Lawrence Trent, tomorrow, 6 p.m. I can't wait.
Calling him Foster or something.
That sounds wrong. No, he's the deep. We've established he's the deep, and I can't wait for an in-depth conversation with Mr. Trent. See you tomorrow. Check out these ads, which hopefully will educate you.
Absolutely. See you guys sometime.
Wednesday.